welcome to part 1 of As the Crown Prince I'm Building the Richest Kingdom. In this captivating story, we follow the journey of Xiao Yunhai, a young man reborn as the crown prince of a struggling island nation in Nanyang. Faced with the daunting task of developing his kingdom's economy and ensuring his reign is not cut short, Xiao Yunhai rises to the challenge with a unique blend of foresight and a powerful system at his disposal. Under his visionary leadership, what was once a poor nation transforms into a thriving powerhouse. From revolutionary medical advancements that gain worldwide attention to the creation of a thrilling theme park that captures the hearts of millions, he puts his kingdom on the global map. With extravagant military spending and a bold approach to governance, Xiao Yunhai's influence knows no bounds, leaving even the wealthiest in the Middle East envious. Join me as we delve into this thrilling tale of ambition, innovation, and the pursuit of greatness. Let's embark on this journey together. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Chapter 1. June 2009. Longhua, Yanda the sun was shining. Third brother, how are you doing? Have you found a job? Job? What job? What other job could it be? Damn, don't tell me you haven't found a job yet? Well, no one wants me, so I have to go home and inherit the family business. Family business? Damn, don't tell me your family is in mining? Well, that's about right. Xiao Yunhai thought about it. His family was selling tin ore, so it was not wrong to say that they were mining. Tisk, mining? Whose rich second generation is as low-key as you? His friend obviously didn't believe it. Xiao Yunhai shrugged. Ding. As they were talking, the two had already arrived at the school gate. A BMW 3 Series slowly drove over. It stopped on the side of the road not far from the two. Then a woman in a long dress, high heels, and long black hair got out of the car. Wow, Lao-san, look, there's a beauty. Wow, this woman is so beautiful, even prettier than the flower in our college. The roommate looked like a pig. After seeing the woman coming over, he said excitedly, wow, no way, Lao-san, I feel she is coming towards us. Could it be that I will have a lucky romance just before graduation? Xiao Shunyang, who was standing on the side, twitched his mouth a few times and rolled his eyes. What's a lucky romance? With your nagging mouth, even if a lucky romance comes, people will be driven away by your nagging. Looking at the beautiful woman who was coming over, Xiao Yunhai showed a faint smile on his face. Hey, Lao-san, why do I feel that this woman looks a little familiar, as if I have seen her somewhere before? The roommate frowned and looked at her carefully and whispered. Xiao Yunhai ignored him, smiled and took 2 steps forward, hugged the woman in the white dress, and then kissed her fair cheek and asked with a smile, why are you here? Aren't you filming in Hungyan? The beautiful woman hugged his arm and said with a sweet smile, didn't you say on the phone a few days ago that you were graduating today? I took a special leave to rush here just to give you a surprise. How is it? Are you happy to see me? Yeah, Xiao Yunhai nodded. It's really a bit unexpected. Hello, may I ask, are you Lu Shishir who plays Long Kuei in Chinese Paladin 3? The beautiful woman who was chatting with her boyfriend, that is, Lu Shishir, heard the voice, turned her head and nodded with a smile. Hello, I am Lu Shishir. Although Lu Shishir came to Yanda for the first time, she didn't know Xiao Yunhai's roommate, but when she got off the car just now, she saw the other party with her boyfriend, guessed that they knew each other and were friends, so she smiled and nodded to admit it. You. Lao-san, you? The roommate was so shocked that he couldn't speak. His head was buzzing. Obviously, he didn't expect that this roommate who had been living together for 4 years and behaved very low-key actually knew Lu Shishir, and judging from the intimacy between the two, it seemed that they were in a relationship. Oh my god. At this moment, his mind was confused. It was like a princess falling in love with a commoner. At this moment, it was like this in his mind. Looking at his friend who was shocked, Xiao Yunhai smiled and put his arm around Lu Shishir's slender waist. He smiled and said to his roommate, brother, from today on, we will go our separate ways. See you later if we are lucky. Waving his hand, Xiao Yunhai put his arm around Lu Shishir's waist and walked towards the BMW car on the side of the road. Only the stunned roommate was left. It wasn't until he saw the 2 people get in the car that he reacted. Damn, my brother's girlfriend is actually Lu Shishir, my god. This news? This side. Xiao Yunhai sat in the co-pilot seat, one hand on someone's elastic white legs, and then squinted his eyes, looking leisurely. Lu Shishir was also used to his lazy look, or she had long been used to someone putting his hand on her leg. Where are we going now? Well, let's go back to the hotel first. Hotel? Lu Shishir's pretty face was slightly red, and some scenes came to her mind. Yes. Why go to the hotel? You want to do something bad again? Don't you like it? Xiao Yunhai blinked, showing a playful expression. Someone begged me. You? Go to hell if you say nonsense again. I will be angry. Lu Shirshir showed a shy expression on her face, and her little hand gently hit someone. Okay, I won't say anything. Let's go quickly and go to the old place. The environment there is good and the safety is high. No, she said she didn't want to go, but Lu Shirshir still drove to the old place. 2 hours later, Hating District, the presidential suite of a 5-star hotel. Xiao Yunhai turned on the light in the room, supported his hands on the bed, sat up, and leaned his back against the back of the bed. A woman with messy hair was lying beside him, wrapped in a white quilt, resting. Her eyes were still in a state of emptiness, and she obviously hadn't come back to her senses. And on the ground were the clothes discarded by the two. Reaching out to pick up the mineral water on the bedside, Xiao Yunhai raised his head and drank it, moistened his throat, and handed the water bottle to Lu Shirshir beside him, and said, "Drink some water and moisten your throat, otherwise, your throat will be hoarse tomorrow." Hearing this, Lu Shirshir gave him a sanitary eye. "It's you who have to tease me." As she said, she reached out and took the mineral water bottle. Xiao Yunhai was proud, and he thought, "You are as calm as a chrysanthemum, but you still bow your head obediently." No, the character of being as calm as a chrysanthemum came later. At present, the girl next door is more real. Speaking of which, he has known Lu Shirshir for 3 years. By chance, he accompanied a roommate to Beijing Dance Academy and met her. At that time, although Lu Shirshir had filmed a play, it had not been released yet, and it can be said that she was not famous in the entertainment industry. Xiao Yunhai helped her sign a contract with Tangren, and then often asked her out for dinner, and went to Shanghai and Hengdian to visit the crew, and they hooked up.
End.
Chapter 2. Before Lu Shirshir, he actually dated a girlfriend. That was Lu Yifei, who was known as the Fairy. The two met in the winter of 2005. At that time, Xiao Yunhai had just come to Longhua to study. Facing Lu Tianxian's snobbish mother, in addition to spending money, he directly stated his identity. Yes, the prince of the new Han Kingdom in Southeast Asia, the first heir to the throne. Although the new Han Kingdom is only a small country in Southeast Asia, with an area of only 121,400 square kilometers and a population of only 17.3 million, it is at least a formal royal family with social status. How impressive is it to say it out? Moreover, the new Han royal family, like the Brunei and Shalaochua royal families, has real power. In addition to the private property of citizens, everything in the country belongs to the king, including land and resources. So, after he stated his identity, Lu Tianxian's mother Lu Xiaoli stopped blocking him instantly, but often called to ask about his well-being and invited him to dinner. On one hand, it was the encouragement of his mother, and on the other hand, it was Xiao Yunhai's sweet words. Soon Lu Tianxian fell, and the two became a couple. Everything was going well until 2 months ago, when Xiao Yunhai was caught by Lu Tianxian and her friends during a tryst with Lu Shirshir. After discovering that he was two-timing, he started to have a bad temper and shouted that he wanted to break up. Although he had eaten her and played with her for a long time, her beauty was indeed invincible, and few could match her. Xiao Yunhai felt that he could play with her for more than 10 years without getting tired of her, so he was not willing to let go easily. So he didn't take Lu Tianxian's shouting of breaking up to heart. However, since then, the relationship between the two has plummeted, and they no longer call each other. At the beginning, Xiao Yunhai called more than a dozen times, and went to Lu's house several times. Seeing that Lu Tianxian didn't want to pay attention to him, and didn't want to talk to him, Xiao Yunhai's temper is not the kind of person who likes to be warm and cold, so he stopped taking the initiative. The relationship between the two has become cold. Now, it has been more than a month since the Cold War. Lu Xiaoli, on the other hand, looked normal, and treated him as usual, as if nothing had happened. "What are you thinking about? You're so lost in thought." Just as Xiao Yunhai's thoughts were letting go, Lu Shirshir gently patted him and pulled him back from his thoughts. Xiao Yunhai came back to his senses, shook his head, reached out to put the water bottle Lu Shirshir handed over on the bedside table, shrunk back into the quilt, hugged the smooth body of the woman in his arms, lowered his head and kissed her, and smiled and said, "Of course I'm thinking about you. Do you think I believe it?" Lu Shirshir rolled her eyes at him. "I'm definitely thinking about the vixen again." Ahem, Xiao Yunhai couldn't help coughing, secretly thinking that women's intuition is really G amazing. What you said is so hurtful. How could I possibly think about other women? Besides, There is that vixen who is prettier than you. Humph, you're good at talking. Lu Shishir is arrogant. She is still very confident in her beauty. By the way, what are you filming recently? Xiao Yunhai changed the subject. Lu Shishir looked up at him in surprise. Don't you care about acting? Nonsense. When did I say I don't care? Xiao Yunhai said, you are my girlfriend. How can I not care? I heard that your circle is quite chaotic. I have to keep an eye on you. And don't take any kissing scenes. I didn't shoot any kissing scenes. They were all doubles. That's good. And there can't be any intimate contact. What do you mean by intimate contact? It means hugging the waist, embracing, and so on. That's not allowed? How can we film then? Isn't this normal? I don't care anyway. It can't happen. Xiao Yunhai said. Lu Shishir showed helplessness on her face. Then we can't film. Xiao Yunhai said disapprovingly. Why can't we film? Just use a stand-in. It's not a question of whether to use a stand-in or not. If I do this, the director will think I'm deliberately being a big shot, and no one will ask me to film in the future. If there's no one, then there's no one. I'll support you. Xiao Yunhai really wanted Lu Shishir not to film. Seeing his woman hugging and embracing others on the screen, he felt that it was no different from feeding a pile of shit. Not to mention his status as a prince, the wealth in his hands alone is enough for Lu Shishir to spend 10 lifetimes. Don't think that he didn't do anything serious when he studied in Longhua. A few years ago, he received $100 million in pocket money from his father, Xiao Hongjing, the king of the New Han Kingdom. Yes, in the New Han, after a prince becomes an adult, he can get $100 million in pocket money, and then he will get $200,000 in pocket money every month. Of course, this can only be the king's children. The collateral line can only receive $50,000 per month. The reason why the New Han royal family can afford this money is mainly due to the foundation laid in those years. In the early years, he invested in companies such as Micron, Google, Yahoo, Amazon, Apple, Oracle, Longuebat, and Wangi. Except for Yahoo and Intel, most of them have not yet sold their holdings. And this batch of shares was worth hundreds of billions of dollars in 2009. It is precisely because of early investment that he can get $100 million in pocket money when he becomes an adult. With $100 million, he founded Oasis Investment Company. Investing in YouTube and Facebook, in less than 2 years, it has doubled dozens of times, and $100 million has become $1.1 billion. Then he took advantage of the financial crisis, leveraged, magnified the principal dozens of times, and shorted many financial companies. Then after the financial crisis broke out, he bought the stocks he had sold before at a low price, and then sold and bought in this way, making a net profit of more than $17 billion. Today, he has a fund of $18.3 billion. Looking at the world, he is also one of the top 30 super rich. Support me? Lu Shishir laughed dumbly. What? Don't believe in my ability? Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows. How could it be? I just want to be self-reliant. Although she didn't know how rich Xiao Yunhai was, she knew that her boyfriend must not be short of money. After all, the BMW 3 Series she was driving now was bought by Xiao Yunhai. In addition, Xiao Yunhai also bought a courtyard house in Hohai, Yanjing, and this house alone cost $20 million. When he went out with her to check in, he stayed in a 5-star hotel. Let me ask, how could this be a poor person?
End
Chapter 3. What she didn't know was that Xiao Yunhai had 3 courtyard houses in Yanjing and 5 luxury houses in Shanghai. These properties alone would be worth $1 billion in 10 years. And this investment was just the money Xiao Yunhai saved from his monthly living expenses, which he bought casually. Hearing that Lu Shishir wanted to be self-reliant and didn't want to be a vase, Xiao Yunhai stopped persuading her. The two of them played very hard. The next day, Xiao Yunhai, who was sleeping soundly, was awakened by a phone call. Hello? Your Highness. Hearing the voice on the phone, Xiao Yunhai woke up, rubbed his forehead, yawned, and then asked, What's the matter? Your Highness, there was a call from the United States. Twitter plans to conduct a new round of financing and asked if we would like to invest. In addition, you have a meeting at 3 o'clock this afternoon with Mr. Liu of Jingdong Company. The speaker was the CEO of Oasis Management Company, Li Yi. A native of Xinhan, he has permanent residency in Longhua, Hong Kong. When he heard that he was going to meet Daqi Yangzi in the afternoon, Xiao Yunhai patted his head. He had so much fun that he almost forgot about the business. Okay, I know. You can pick me up at the hotel at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
At noon, the two had dinner at the hotel. In the afternoon, I have some business matters to discuss, so I can't accompany you. You can go shopping or rest in the hotel." Xiao Yunhai put down the knife and fork in his hand, wiped his mouth with a tissue, and said to Lu Shishir opposite, "Business? What business?" Lu Shishir asked curiously, "When did you do business?" "Why don't I know?" Xiao Yunhai, "I'm doing investment business for a long time." "Oh." Lu Shishir showed a look of realization, guessing in her heart that the house Xiao Yunhai bought must have been earned by investment. Of course, it is also possible that his family paid for it. No matter which one, it shows that Xiao Yunhai's family conditions must be very good. If this was put before, she would still be a little worried. But as her career gradually started, this worry became less. Of course, this was just her personal opinion, because she didn't know Xiao Yunhai's family background. After eating lunch with Lu Shishir, the two returned to the room to rest and be intimate for a while. It was not until Li Yi called that Xiao Yunhai left the gentle land. Hotel lobby. "Master." Seeing Xiao Yunhai walk out of the elevator, there were two bodyguards behind him. Li Yi and a man and a woman beside him hurried forward and greeted him respectfully. In order not to reveal his identity in front of outsiders, Xiao Yunhai asked Li Yi to call him master. "Well," Xiao Yunhai nodded, "let's go." Yes, a group of people left the hotel lobby. Two black Mercedes-Benz S-Class cars stopped at the door. In front of the car door, there were two drivers in suits. Seeing Xiao Yunhai, the driver quickly bent down and opened the back door. Xiao Yunhai sat in. His two bodyguards drove the driver to another car. Accompanied by a roar, the two Mercedes-Benz cars drove away from the hotel. Half an hour later, the two Mercedes-Benz cars arrived at Jingdong Company. Seeing Xiao Yunhai, Li Yi and others getting off the car, Wu Yu, the secretary of Daqiangzi who had already been notified, greeted him with a smile and shouted with a bright smile, "Hello, Mr. Xiao and Mr. Li. I am Mr. Lu's secretary, Wu Yu." Seeing Wu Yu, Xiao Yunhai smiled and stretched out his hand. "Miss Wu, I haven't seen you for a long time, and you are more beautiful and charming." Wu Yu, who was dressed in an OL outfit, blushed slightly when she heard the words, but did not respond to Xiao Yunhai's words, but turned sideways and made a gesture of invitation. "Please come in. Mr. Lu is still waiting for you." Seeing Wu Yu who did not respond, Xiao Yunhai also lost the intention to tease the other party. After hearing that Daqiangzi was waiting for him, he nodded and walked into the building. "Meeting room, Boss Lu. I'm here to give you money again." Xiao Yunhai, who had been resting in the conference room for a few minutes, saw Daqiangzi coming into the conference room, stood up, smiled and walked forward, shook hands and said. Daqiangzi was stunned for a moment and laughed. "Boss Xiao is really a joker." After that, he made a gesture to invite him to sit down. Xiao Yunhai sat on the chair, put away the smile on his face, and looked at Daqiangzi with a serious face. "I'm not joking with you. I'm really here to give you money this time." Daqiangzi instantly understood what he meant. After all, the two had dealt with each other before. At the beginning, Jingdong's A round was invested by Xiao Yunhai's Oasis Capital, but he didn't invest in the B round. It's not that Xiao Yunhai didn't want to invest, but his money was all in the US stock market at that time. Why? Boss Xiao heard the news? Daqiangzi thought Xiao Yunhai had heard the news from the company's management. Xiao Yunhai was stunned for a moment, and his head instantly understood that Daqiangzi had misunderstood where he heard the news from. In fact, he hadn't heard the news at all, but now that he had money in his hands, he planned to invest before returning to Xinhan. After all, Jingdong is still a very good e-commerce company, and the return on investment is high enough. Misunderstanding is fine. It just happens that there is no need to explain. Seeing Xiao Yunhai smiling but not saying anything, Daqiangzi knew that he guessed right, and guessed who leaked the news in his heart. After going through it in his mind, he still couldn't analyze who it was. He simply didn't want to think about it. To be honest, the company is planning to conduct a new round of financing at the end of the year, and the funds will be used to expand the logistics network. If Mr. Xiao wants to invest, he can wait until the end of the year when the financing starts and participate in the investment. At the end of the year? No, I can't wait that long. I will be overseas most of the time in the future and rarely come to the mainland. So, Mr. Lu, I don't like to beat around the bush. I will take care of this round of investment at the end of the year. Taking care? Daqiangzi was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, Mr. Xiao, in the C round of financing, the company plans to raise $150 million. $150 million? Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows. How many shares do you plan to sell? About 26%. Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows slightly. He couldn't remember the situation of Jingdong's C round of financing. After all, it has been so long. So, 200 million US dollars. I want 32% of the shares. This, Mr. Xiao, you want too many shares. De Qiangzi shook his head. He actually didn't want Xiao Yunhai to invest. The reason is very simple. Although Xiao Yunhai did not follow up in the B round, he had 25% of the shares in the A round. After dilution, he still had 17.6% of the shares. If it is the C round, all the shares are bought, and it is still 32% of the shares, then the total will be 43.968%, which is almost the same as him as the major shareholder.
End.
Chapter 4. Xiao Yunhai is not a rookie. Having lived 2 lives, he knows De Qiangzi's concerns. Is Mr. Liu worried about losing control of the company? Don't worry. I invested in Jingdong simply because I am optimistic about the company's development and have no interest in interfering in the company's operations. After a pause, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, let's sign a supplementary equity agreement. As long as Mr. Liu agrees to let Oasis invest in the C round, then Oasis's voting rights for Jingdong shares will always support Mr. Liu's decision at the board of directors. De Qiangzi was moved when he heard this. As Xiao Yunhai said, he was worried about losing control. Once the founder loses control of the company, he may be kicked out at any time. There are too many similar examples. After all, capital is interested in benefits. Even people like Steve Jobs were kicked out by Apple's board of directors. De Qiangzi naturally worried that he would be kicked out of the company one day. Does Mr. Xiao mean this? Of course, I said that we can sign a supplementary agreement. Xiao Yunhai said. He really had no interest in interfering with Jingdong's management. He invested in Jingdong because he was really optimistic about the company's development and could bring him dozens of times of returns. De Qiangzi stretched out his hand and said with a smile, thank you, Mr. Xiao, for your trust in me and Jingdong. On behalf of the company, I welcome Mr. Xiao's investment. $200 million, only 32% of the shares, and no voting rights. Where can you find such a good investor? Haha, Mr. Liu is straightforward. If you are short of money in the future, you can find us at Oasis. Xiao Yunhai laughed and felt very comfortable. More than $200 million, and he won 43.96% of Jingdong's shares. Even if he does not follow up and dilutes his shares, he will still hold at least 20% of the shares when it goes public. According to the stock price and market value of Jingdong after its listing, it can also be worth 500 million or 600 million US dollars, with a return rate of 20 to 30 times. If he does not cash out and holds it until 2020 or 2021, the 20% stake will be worth more than 20 billion US dollars, 100 times more. Such a return on investment is only available in the internet industry. It is almost impossible to change to other industries. After the 2 sides reached an agreement, they quickly drafted a contract. Jingdong had planned to raise funds, but now it was just intercepted by Xiao Yunhai. Soon, the contract was signed. No board of directors was held. The 2 major shareholders got the job done. Even if other shareholders and institutions are dissatisfied in the future and operate in secret, as long as the money is in the account, there is nothing to say. What's more, 32% of the shares, 200 million US dollars. This investment is equivalent to valuing Jingdong at more than 600 million US dollars, which is already a premium valuation. After watching the contract being signed, Xiao Yunhai was in a good mood. After chatting and being polite with De Qiangzi for a while, he left. The rest of the things can be left to professionals. We need to hurry up with Twitter and tell them that this round of investment will be followed by our Oasis. Sitting in the Mercedes-Benz, Xiao Yunhai said to Li Yi beside him in a light tone. He invested in Twitter 2 years ago, before the financial crisis. Although in his opinion, the value is not as great as Jingdong, it is still a company with low investment and high returns, so he naturally doesn't want to miss it. Speaking of Twitter, Xiao Yunhai suddenly thought of Weibo. The essence of Weibo is to imitate Twitter. However, Weibo has changed from a sharing and social platform to a sewer and trash can with entertainment gossip, news flow, and all kinds of negative news. But such a website is what Xiao Yunhai needs most. After all, he planned to develop tourism economy after returning to Xinhan. Xinhan has thousands of islands of all sizes. Many islands are very beautiful, with white sandy beaches and clear blue waters. It would be a waste not to develop tourism and holiday economy. Look at Siam, where tourism income accounts for about 20% of GDP every year. Phuket and Bali can bring in 20 to 30 billion US dollars in revenue every year from tourism income. The economy of Longwa will become stronger and stronger in the next few years, and traveling abroad has become a fashionable existence. Xinhan Kingdom is located in the north of Kalimantan Island, close to Longwa, and there are so many high-quality islands. It would be a waste not to develop tourism. If you want to develop tourism, then publicity is very important. In the next few years, Weibo will be the largest news social traffic platform in Longwa. If you can become a shareholder of Weibo, spend some money on marketing, ask bloggers to write travel notes, and then go on Weibo hot searches, then tourists will come. Why can Phuket and Bali become popular in Longwa and become popular destinations for overseas tourism? To a large extent, it is because of the recommendation of travel bloggers that it has become popular. It is not because these two islands are so beautiful. In fact, these two islands are very ordinary, and the quality of the seawater is far inferior to that of Xinhan Island. It's just that the islands of Xinhan are not developed at present. Unlike Phuket and Bali, various infrastructures are very complete. Infrastructure and the like. When he returns to Xinhan, he can just spend money to invest. But the propaganda position and mouthpiece must be taken first. Not only Weibo must be taken, but also travel platforms such as Trip and Mafengwo must have shares. Thinking of this, Xiao Yunhai said to the driver, "Go to Xinlong." After that, he turned his eyes to Li Yi beside him. "Has the company invested in Trip and Mafengwo?" Li Yi thought for a moment and said, "We didn't invest in Trip, but the Royal Investment Bureau has invested in it. As for Mafengwo, I haven't heard of it." "Well, after I leave, you should pay attention to emerging internet companies such as Mafengwo and ele.me. For investment projects below $5 million in the future, you don't need to ask me. You can make your own decisions. Remember one thing, cast a wide net. The next few years will be an era of mobile internet explosion, and you must invest early. By investing in these startups and getting high returns, you can have money to develop the new Han Kingdom." As for why he didn't do it himself, first, he didn't have the energy. Second, the new Han market is too small. Third, policy restrictions. What's the use of a small country with a population of only more than 10 million? Even if it has the largest market share in the new Han, it doesn't make much sense if it can't enter the world. And the internet industry often involves sensitive information issues. After all, user information needs to be collected. Even if it is stored offsite, it is unacceptable in many countries. It is the same reason why the overseas version of Douyin was banned overseas. The only countries in the world that can engage in the internet are China and the United States. Among them, only the United States is the real world internet. In a word, if you don't have a strong domestic market and strong military force to support it, you should just forget about engaging in the internet. Mobile games are okay.
End.
Chapter 5. Yinjing. A certain company. Is Oasis Investment Company visiting? Chao Guowei frowned. He thought about it carefully in his mind, but he didn't have any impression. In fact, Oasis has only 2 or 3 projects invested in the mainland of Longwa, and no one really knows about them. Although I haven't heard of this company, I still have to meet them when they come to visit. Please invite them to the conference room. I'll come later.
Yes.
The secretary nodded in response, then turned and left. 10 minutes later, after reviewing the documents on hand and looking at the time on his watch, Chao Guowei felt that it was almost time and couldn't be left alone for too long. He stood up and walked out of the office and walked towards the conference room. "Mr. Chao, these are the people from Oasis Company." Seeing the middle-aged man who came in, and seeing the secretary who had entertained them before calling him Mr. Chao, it goes without saying that he is the CEO of Xinlong Company, Chao Guowei. Xiao Yunhai stood up, with a slight smile on his face, and stretched out his hand and said, "Hello, is this Mr. Chao? I am the boss of Oasis Company. My name is Xiao Yunhai." "Boss?" Chao Guowei was stunned for a moment. He thought Li Yi was the boss. Unexpectedly, it was the young man in front of him. Suppressing the surprise in his heart, Chao Guowei shook hands with a smile. "Hello, Mr. Xiao." Very enthusiastic, not despising the other party because he was young. On the contrary, it was precisely because of Xiao Yunhai's age that Chao Guowei was more enthusiastic. If it was Li Yi, he might not be so enthusiastic. The reason is very simple. He is so young and is the boss of an investment company. Although he is not sure about the strength of this investment company, but according to his experience, it is probably some young man who has come out to start a business. Often this kind of young man has a background that is so powerful that he cannot afford to offend. Over the years, he has seen some young men from big families who get shares without spending a penny. You still have to rush to send it. Don't send it? Then forget about doing business for the company. It's too easy to find a reason to kill you. To do business in Longwa, you need to know the world and build good relationships with all parties. Do you really think that you are talented and want to eat alone, and you can succeed? Don't be kidding. The so-called starting from scratch and grassroots entrepreneurship are all deceiving people. Whether it is Muda, Pingqing Ma, or Hangzhou Ma, which one has no connections behind it? The only one who really started from grassroots is probably Daqiangzi. It's just that Xiao Guowei guessed wrong this time. Xiao Yunhai is not the kind of young man he thought. Strictly speaking, it is, but Xiao Yunhai is not a young man from Longhua, but a young man from the new Han Kingdom. After some politeness, Xiao Yunhai went straight to the point. Mr. Xiao, I like to speak quickly and don't like to beat around the bush. I know that your company is promoting a new project recently. I want to invest in this project. Please name a price. Xiao Guowei was slightly surprised. He secretly wondered how the other party knew that the company was doing a new project. Yes, Weibo has not been officially launched yet, but the internal version has been released. It has been tested internally and will be launched in September. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Xiao Guowei said, Mr. Xiao is so straightforward. I will tell you the truth. There is indeed a new project, but the project has not been launched yet, so the investment. Before he finished speaking, Xiao Yunhai interrupted. How about $10 million and 45% shares? Huh. Xiao Guowei was stunned. So arrogant? He didn't even look at the project. Aren't you worried that the project will fail after it goes online? In fact, for Xiao Yunhai, investing in Weibo is not about the return rate brought by Weibo, but about Weibo as a traffic platform. This propaganda mouthpiece platform can bring a large number of tourists to the tourism industry of Xinhan, which is the meaning of his investment. It can be regarded as a strategic investment. Even if Weibo is not as successful as in the previous life, for Xiao Yunhai, it is only a loss of $10 million, which is no big deal. Mr. Xiao, this project has not been launched yet. Aren't you worried about the failure of the investment? Xiao Guowei suppressed his thoughts and looked at Xiao Yunhai with curiosity. Xiao Yunhai said lightly, if someone else did this project, I would worry about the failure of the investment, but this project is done by Mr. Xiao. I believe you can succeed because I am optimistic about your ability. Xiao Guowei laughed dumbly. I didn't expect to get such an answer. Somewhat flattered. You know, this is $10 million. It's not a small amount of money. Mr. Xiao, let's be straightforward. $10 million, 45% of the shares. Okay, give me a straightforward answer. Xiao Yunhai frowned. If he hadn't seen the promotional effect of Weibo on Xinhan's tourism industry, he wouldn't have come to discuss this small business in person. Okay, it's our honor that Mr. Xiao is willing to invest in this project. Xiao Guowei agreed readily. A project that has not yet been launched, a project whose future and fate are unknown, someone is willing to invest $10 million and only wants 45% of the shares, which means that the project is valued at $20 million. Only a fool would not agree. Then sign the contract. After seeing that the other party agreed, Xiao Yunhai waved his hand without any nonsense, and Li Yi behind him took out 2 identical investment contracts. Xiao Guowei asked the company's legal department to look at the contract. After confirming that there was no problem, the 2 parties began to sign. Happy cooperation. After signing and stamping the official seal, Xiao Yunhai smiled and stretched out his hand to shake hands with Xiao Guowei. Xiao Guowei was also in a good mood. With this money, Weibo will undoubtedly develop faster. The probability of project success will also be higher. Thinking of this, Xiao Guowei looked at Xiao Yunhai like looking at the god of wealth, with a bright smile on his face. Mr. Xiao, happy cooperation? Both of them laughed. They both thought they had taken advantage. They came and went in a hurry. In less than an hour, Xiao Yunhai and others left Xinlong Company. Xiao Guowei personally sent this sucker out of the company.
End.
Chapter 6. Yinjing Airport. Lu Shishir, dressed in ink and disguise, waved to Xiao Yunhai while dragging her luggage, and then walked into the airport check-in hall. Xiao Yunhai also waved. Looking at the figure walking farther and farther away, he felt a little unsatisfied. He hadn't had enough fun yet. Lu Shishir couldn't stand it anymore and ran away with her luggage. Fortunately, Lu Shishir couldn't read minds. Otherwise, she might roll her eyes and curl her eyes and think of something else about her. Let's go. After he couldn't see the figure anymore, Xiao Yunhai retracted his gaze. He was about to leave the airport. Beep, beep, the phone rang suddenly. He reached out and took it out, looking at the incoming call number. He raised his eyebrows slightly. He casually pressed the answer button. Hello, Annie? Yes, me? I'm in Yinjing. Eat? Noon? Okay, I'll come over. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Yunhai sighed secretly. Lu Xiaoli is indeed a snobbish woman. He has already cheated on her daughter, but she still often invites him to dinner. It seems that she is reluctant to give up the title of prince's mother-in-law, or even the future king's mother-in-law. Sure enough, interests are the most important. Lu family. Mom, why did you ask him to come over? Seeing that his mother called that scumbag again, Lu Tianxian wrinkled her nose and showed an unhappy expression on her face. Lu Xiaoli put her phone aside, sat next to her daughter, and said, "Silly daughter, I'm doing this for your own good. If you keep a cold war with him, won't that vixen get away with it? Besides, how many men don't cheat? Do you think that if you find an ordinary man, he won't cheat? All men are the same. As long as they have power and money, they will become bad." Mom, aren't you being too absolute? Lu Tianxian hugged her legs and sat on the sofa. Hearing her mother's arbitrary words, she couldn't help but refute. What do you mean by absolute? This is the fact, okay? Those men who look honest now don't cheat because they have no power and no money. Seeing her daughter's disapproving expression, Lu Xiaoli felt a little disappointed. "Cici, I don't care what you think. Anyway, I accept Xiaohai as my son-in-law." "Son-in-law?" Lu Tianxian said dissatisfiedly. "Mom, I didn't say I wanted to marry him. Don't say son-in-law. It's not good if people hear it." This sentence was like stepping on Lu Xiaoli's foot. She said angrily, "What do you mean it's not good to hear it? I think you are a blockhead. Why can't you change your mind? It's normal for a man to have women outside, as long as he doesn't bring them home. Let me give you an example. Take the entertainment industry as an example. You have been in this circle for several years. I can't say you have seen it, but at least you have heard a lot. Besides, Mom checked the marriage law of the New Han Kingdom. In the New Han, men can marry multiple women, so Xiaohai is not a scumbag. Mom, why do you always speak for him?" Lu Tianxian was a little dissatisfied. Lu Xiaoli rolled her eyes, angrily pressing her daughter's forehead with her finger. "Silly girl, I'm doing this for your own good. Don't be ungrateful. Listen to your mother's advice and make peace with Xiaohai. I can see that Xiaohai has you in his heart, otherwise he wouldn't have agreed to come over for dinner so readily. Even if you don't consider other things, are you willing to give your happiness to that vixen? Is my daughter not as attractive as a vixen?" Facing her mother's angry voice, Lu Tianxian opened her mouth. She was naturally unwilling. After all, the two have been together for more than 3 years. And Xiao Yunhai is her first love. She has given her body and mind to the other person. So can she really let it go just by breaking up? What made her angry was that Xiao Yunhai came to see her a few times, coaxed her a few times, and then it was gone. She didn't insist a few more times. Maybe she would have forgiven him. However, Xiao Yunhai didn't contact her or call her later, which hit the always arrogant Lu Tianxian hard and made her feel that she was not valued. This was the main reason for her anger. As for the vixen, she admitted that she was a bit pretty, but she was still far behind her. "Cici, Mom is talking to you. Did you hear me? If you keep going on like this, you will regret it later. Listen to Mom's advice. Don't make a fuss anymore. Trust Mom. Mom won't hurt you." Seeing her mother's worried look, Lu Tianxian's heart softened, and she nodded gently. In fact, after 2 months of Cold War, she was no longer so angry about Xiao Yunhai's two-timing. In addition, a few days after the incident, she secretly checked the New Han marriage law. Now that she is in a Cold War, in addition to having no way out, the most important thing is the resentment and dissatisfaction with Xiao Yunhai in her heart. Seeing her daughter nod, Lu Xiaoli breathed a sigh of relief. Her face was full of smiles. She reached out and held her daughter's hand and said, "Okay, this is my obedient daughter. Mom is going to the kitchen to cook, and there is still a dish of sweet and sour fish that Xiaohai likes to eat that has not been cooked yet." Seeing her mother's happy expression, Lu Tianxian sighed slightly. How could she not understand what her mother was thinking when she tried to match her up with Xiao Yunhai? However, she felt uncomfortable when she thought about Xiao Yunhai being with that vixen. After all, she was not happy that her things were now used by another person. Half an hour later, Xiao Yunhai arrived at Lu's house. It was Lu Xiaoli who opened the door. "Is Xiaohai here? Come in. Cici is waiting for you at home." As she spoke, Lu Xiaoli turned around and shouted towards the living room, "Cici, Xiaohai is here. Auntie, these are some things I bought. Please accept them." "Why did you buy things? Didn't Nanny tell you that you should just follow me home when you get here? So don't be so polite." Xiao Yunhai smiled. Don't take women's words seriously. If you really don't buy, she might complain in her heart that you are rude and don't care. Under Lu Xiaoli's enthusiasm, Xiao Yunhai walked into the living room and then saw the beautiful figure he hadn't seen for 2 months. 2 eyes, for eyes facing each other. Just look at each other quietly.
And
Chapter 7. Xiao Hai, it's so late. Stay here today. It's just right. You and Cece haven't seen each other for a long time. Chat more. Young people should communicate more. I won't accompany you. I'm old and go to bed early. Lu's mother slipped away, and only Xiao Yunhai and someone were left in the living room. Both of them were quite embarrassed. Xiao Yunhai naturally understood the reason why Lu Xiaoli asked him to stay overnight, which was nothing more than to match him with Lu Tianxian and ease the relationship between the two. Xiao Yunhai naturally couldn't let Lu Xiaoli down. Lu Tianxian complained about her mother, who was too impatient, and wanted to push her into someone's arms immediately. Thinking of this, Lu Tianxian's beautiful eyes secretly looked at someone and happened to meet someone's eyes. Cece. It's getting late. Why don't you go upstairs and rest? Xiao Yunhai, you have that thing on your mind. Nothing else? Ahem. How is that possible? Auntie is too enthusiastic. I can't live up to her kindness. Besides, I personally think that some things are better discussed after in-depth communication. Bah. Go to hell. Forget it. Hey, what are you doing? Let me go. Xiao Yunhai. You be asterisk 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 d. Hiss. Lu Tianxian can't tell that you are a dog. You actually bite people. I will bite you to death, so that more people will not be deceived. You are so good, Lu Tianxian. I think you are not willing to accept the toast. Look at the gun. Downstairs. Lu's mother has been secretly perking up her ears and listening to the movement. Listening to the fighting upstairs and her daughter's voice. Her pretty face turned red. She choked and cursed in her heart. You little be asterisk asterisk. You're still pretending. You're shouting so loudly. Are you afraid that others can't hear you? The upset Lu's mother simply covered her head to prevent the sound from reaching her ears. That night, Xiao Yunhai fought bravely and gave his all. The next day, the sun was shining. Xiao Yunhai yawned in slippers. Walked downstairs. Xiao Hai is up. Come and sit down. Auntie made some breakfast. Xiao Yunhai looked normal, and he didn't feel embarrassed because he had done something to someone else's daughter. We are all adults. Those who understand will understand. After thanking Lu's mother, Xiao Yunhai sat at the dining table and ate the breakfast made by Lu's mother. Lu's mother was also very tactful and didn't ask her daughter. After all, she also had insomnia last night, and it was not until 3 or 4 in the morning that she stopped moving. Needless to say, her daughter was catching up on sleep at this moment. Speaking of this issue, she actually envied her daughter. Auntie, I will be returning to Xinhan in 2 days, and I may stay in Xinhan most of the time in the future. You also know that my status is special. If you and Cece have nothing to do, you can come to Xinhan more often. I will take you to visit Yuyao Islands, climb Mount Kinabalu, and experience the local customs and natural landscapes of Xinhan. Yuyao Islands, located in the Sulu Sea, are composed of hundreds of natural islands and are suitable for diving. Mount Kinabalu, also known as Mount Kinabalu, is the highest peak in Xinhan, with an altitude of 4,095 meters and surrounded by vegetation. This sacred mountain has a nickname, Longwa Widow Mountain. According to legend, thousands of years ago, an ancient Longwa man was unfortunately drifted here by a typhoon. He killed the dragon in the mountain and took the Dragon Ball. He was regarded as a hero by the local tribe, and the local chieftain betrothed his daughter to him. The Longwa man married and had children here. However, the hero missed his relatives in his hometown, resolutely went north, crossed the sea, but never came back. The chieftain's daughter climbed the sacred mountain every day, looking forward to the sails coming from the south, and finally became a husband-waiting stone, guarding the top of the mountain forever. The locals were deeply moved by this love story, so they named this mountain Longwa Widow Mountain and passed it down from generation to generation. Xiao Yunhai's grandfather did not change the name of this mountain after establishing the Xinhan regime. Today, Mount Kinabalu has become a tourist check-in place for countless Xinhan people. Hearing that Xiao Yunhai was going back to Xinhan, Lu's mother was a little nervous, worried about the relationship between him and her daughter, but when she heard that Xiao Yunhai invited them to Xinhan and personally took them to some islands and mountains, her nervousness suddenly eased a lot. This sentence shows that he still has her daughter in his heart. Although he has not expressed his intention to marry her, after spending a long time together, she believes that she cannot marry her daughter because of her charm. The only problem is that her daughter is too picky, and she needs more guidance. Although it is a bit difficult, Lu's mother immediately became motivated when she thought that her daughter might become the queen of a country in the future. Also, I heard that Huai banned CC. Beijing Circle is not allowed to find CC to film? Well, the circle is indeed spreading that Huai wanted to sign CC, but I refused. Well, don't worry too much about this matter. Huai is just a clown. Xiao Yunhai took out a business card and handed it over. This is Li Ye's business card. In the future, if you need any resources in Longhua, find him and he will help solve it. If he can't solve it, he will notify me. Also, Cece's personality is too simple, Auntie should help take care of her more. The entertainment industry is too turbid. I'm afraid Cece will be fooled. Lu Xiaoli is also a person in her 40s. How can she not hear the meaning of Xiao Yunhai's last sentence? It means that she should be a nanny for her daughter like a few years ago. If she is filming, there must be no intimate actions. Don't say that Lu Xiaoli is thinking about her daughter becoming the queen at this time. Even if she doesn't, Lu Xiaoli will not agree to her daughter to film some intimate action scenes. So, after hearing what Xiao Yunhai said, he first took the business card, then nodded and said, Xiao Hai, don't worry, with Annie here, nothing will go wrong. Xiao Yunhai nodded gently. He still believed in the fighting power of Lu's mother to protect her daughter. Besides, before leaving, Xiao Yunhai would also arrange bodyguards for Lu Tianxian and Lu Shishir. The entertainment circle is too chaotic, and he was a little worried without arranging bodyguards. The reason why he didn't let the two women quit the circle immediately, in addition to not wanting to interfere too much with the two women, is that he also wants to wait until the two women are completely popular, endorse Xinhan, and attract tourists to Xinhan to travel and check in. One's own people must be more hardworking than business. After staying in Lu's house for 2 days, he finally conquered Lu Tianxian, the arrogant woman, with his hard work day and night, and the relationship was finally restored to its original state. That day, Xiao Yunhai, who was still sleeping, also received a call from his father. Let him go back to Xinhan. Upon learning that Xiao Yunhai was going back to Xinhan, Lu Tianxian was reluctant to let him go. So when they parted, he was particularly proactive. Yinjing Airport. The affairs of Longhua are now handed over to you. In addition to the several acquisition projects I mentioned before, you also need to buy Xingda, Jingjiang, and other novel websites as soon as possible, and buy the copyrights of some well-known novels, such as Ghost Blowing Light and Grave Robbers Chronicles. By the way, there are also the full copyrights of popular novels such as Zhu Xian, such as film and television, animation, and peripherals, and the time must be permanent. Don't care about the price. If 1 million is not enough, then 10 million. If 10 million is not enough, 100 million is also fine. In short, I want to buy the full copyrights of Ghost Blowing Light, Grave Robbers Chronicles, and Zhu Xian, no matter how much money it costs. These 3 IPs are of great use to him. In addition to making animations, he plans to use them to build theme parks, especially the theme of tomb raiding, which is very suitable for adventure theme parks. For example, Worm Valley, Nanhai Guishu, and Nuqing Xiangxi are very suitable for building in Xinhan, because Xinhan is located in the tropics, with lush rainforests and vegetation. By then, with movies and animations, plus the original fans of the novel, there will be tens of millions of fans. If the theme park is built, it will definitely attract millions of tourists to check in.
End.
Chapter 8. New Han Kingdom. Capital Airport. A plane from Yinjing landed at the airport. Xiao Yunhai, dressed in casual clothes, wearing sunglasses and a mask, took the lead with 2 bodyguards to get off the plane. Airport ground. 5 Mercedes-Benz S-Class bulletproof cars were parked quietly. A dozen men in casual clothes, wearing headsets, looked around vigilantly. An old man in his 50s, seeing Xiao Yunhai getting off the plane, hurried to greet him. Your Highness. After saluting to Xiao Yunhai, the old man smiled and said, Congratulations, Your Highness, on returning from completing your studies. Uncle Wu. Xiao Yunhai nodded with a smile and shook hands with the other party. Although this person is not a member of the royal family, he is the confidant of Xiao Yunhai's father. His main responsibility is to manage the palace. In ancient times, he would be the chief steward of the palace. Of course, he is not a eunuch. Xiao Yunhai and the other party have known each other since childhood and have been together for 20 years. Xiao Yunhai still respected the old man. People have feelings, not to mention that he took care of him for many years when he was young. Your Highness, please come this way. After a brief greeting, Uncle Wu invited him to get in the car. Xiao Yunhai got into the bulletproof Mercedes-Benz in the middle. The others also got in the car. Soon, the motorcade drove away from the scene. It seemed as if it had never existed. However, in fact, the airport control ended only after Xiao Yunhai left the airport in the motorcade. The capital of the new Han dynasty is called Chang'an. It is a modern coastal city, the political, economic, and cultural center of the country, with a population of nearly 3 million, and is the largest city in the entire Kalimantan island. The palace is located at the foot of Qinghong Mountain in the center of the city, in the valley. The valley is closed on all sides, with only one entrance and exit, which can be said to be a natural place to build a palace. The motorcade passed through several security posts and came to the flat area inside the valley, which is the main location of the palace. Although it is called Chang'an, the building complex is not a Han Dynasty building, but a new Chinese style. Pavilions, rockeries, swimming pools, lawns, fish ponds, etc. are all available. Basically, everything you can think of is available. Palace guards in suits can be seen everywhere. There are thousands of plainclothes guards in the entire palace. This does not include the royal guards outside the valley. The palace guards are like the central guards of Dragon Country, while the royal guards are equivalent to the Wanshui army. Although the establishment is not that large, it is a real elite with more than 6,000 people, which is the backbone of the protection of the royal family. The Mercedes-Benz car that Xiao Yunhai was riding in slowly stopped in front of a house. The co-pilot bodyguard got out of the car and opened the door, and Xiao Yunhai walked out. He looked up at the building in front of him, then walked in, followed by Uncle Wu. "Didn't you say you would arrive at 11 o'clock? It's 11:20 now. Why haven't you arrived yet? Could something have happened?" A female voice sounded. "You just like to daydream. Didn't the airport call earlier? He has already got off the plane and will probably be here soon." Hearing the two familiar voices, Xiao Yunhai smiled and walked in. "Dad, Mom, I'm back." As soon as the voice fell, a middle-aged, beautiful woman about 50 years old came over happily. It was none other than Xiao Yunhai's mother, Su Yurong. Born into a famous family of Xinhan, his father had fought for the country with the king who founded the Xinhan kingdom and was once a general. "It's good to be back, you too, kid. Didn't I tell you that you would go home right after graduation? Why did you stay in Longhua for more than a week? If your dad hadn't called you, would you not have planned to come back?" Listening to his mother's complaints and dissatisfaction, Xiao Yunhai smiled awkwardly and explained, "How could that be? The things over there haven't been dealt with yet, so it just took a few days. Look, I've dealt with it, so I'll go back home right away." Hemph. Su Yurong also expressed her dissatisfaction verbally, but she still felt sorry for her eldest son in her heart. After all, he was studying abroad alone. What's more, the eldest son has been very sensible since he was a child, and rarely made her worry. Unlike the other two siblings, who were naughty and mischievous, they made her worry a lot. After chatting with his mother for a few words, Xiao Yunhai started to greet his father beside him. Although Xiao Hongjing was majestic and a master of a country outside, his family knew his own affairs. He was well controlled by his mother at home. As a result, Xiao Hongjing has only married my mother for so many years and dared not marry a second one. Of course, it's not that he is really afraid of Su Yurong, but the two of them are in love. They grew up together and have a deep relationship. Well, the child has completed his studies and returned. We should congratulate and celebrate. You, just say less. Xiao Hongjing interjected. As soon as these words came out, Su Yurong's face turned serious and she looked at Xiao Hongjing with anger. "Well, wife, continue." Xiao Hongjing instantly became timid. "Huh." Su Yurong snorted coldly, very satisfied with someone's attitude. Turning her eyes to Xiao Yunhai, she immediately put on a smiling face and spoke in a gentle tone. "Son, what do you want to eat? Mom will make it for you." Anything is fine. Just make something casual." "Okay, I'll have someone make you a few dishes you like." "Wife, I want to eat." "You? Still want to eat? No way. You are treating me differently. I'm the king." Su Yurong rolled her eyes. "I'm still the queen. And you think you're a king, so what?" Seeing that intimidating look, Xiao Hongjing was decisively scared. Seeing the bickering father and mother, Xiao Yunhai smiled. This may be incredible in the eyes of many people. People in their teens still talk back and quarrel like young couples in their 20s and 30s. But this is the fact. It can only be said that both of them love each other deeply. After Su Yurong left, Xiao Hongjing returned to his seriousness, acting like an old father, without the previous playful smile. "I heard that you made a lot of money in the US stock market?" "Yeah," Xiao Yunhai nodded. The old man knew that he was not surprised. "How much?" "Not much, 160 to 170 billion US dollars. "How much?" Xiao Hongjing, who was originally calm, suddenly lost his composure after hearing the amount, and his eyes widened. "More than 16 billion. Xiao Yunhai repeated it once. Hiss. Xiao Hongjing took a breath. More than 16 billion US dollars is not a small number. Last year, the GDP of the entire new Han Kingdom was only more than 88 billion US dollars. "Good boy. You really are a great success," Xiao Hongjing said happily. Although he didn't understand why he could make so much money, it was a good thing for him after all, and his eldest son was successful, so he could rest assured and hand over the future of the new Han Kingdom to him. Read books every day on the 11th. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Both sites shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again.
End.
Chapter 9. Since you are so good at making money, how about you take over the investment bureau of the royal family? I can take over, but aren't you worried about me losing money? Although I don't know how you operate, but being able to turn $100 million into more than $10 billion is enough to show your ability. If we really lose money, it's okay. We can afford it. When Xiao Hongjing said this, he was full of confidence. As the largest landlord in Xinhan, he has a large number of properties in Hong Kong, Pingcheng, Modu, Yinjing, and Niuyu overseas. If he really loses money, there is nothing to worry about. The overseas properties alone are enough for the royal family to live a wealthy life. Not to mention that there are so many lands in China. Besides, he has confidence in his eldest son. Even if he really loses money, he will just pay the tuition for his eldest son. Even if the tuition is a bit expensive, he is the heir after all, and it is worth it no matter how much he loses. Moreover, the royal family has a huge cash flow. It is not the local currency, but the US dollars in the bank accounts in Hong Kong and Switzerland. The main source of this US dollar is the hundreds of billions of dollars earned during the Asian financial crisis and the internet bubble in the millennium. So, although the new Han Kingdom is very poor, with a per capita GDP of only 5,000 US dollars, the royal family is really rich. Seeing that his father said so, what else can Xiao Yunhai say? Naturally, he readily agreed. The shares of many companies in the Royal Investment Bureau have reached high prices. If they are not sold, they will continue to lose money in the future. Before, he was still thinking about how to persuade his father to sell. Now it seems that it is not necessary. After taking over, he is confident that he can make more than 10 times. After all, he is a veteran. You have studied in Yinjing for a few years, and you should have learned something. Tell me, how do you think our new Han Kingdom should develop in the future? Xiao Hongjing was interested and tested his eldest son. Dad, if you ask this, you've really asked the right person. I thought about this question carefully before I returned to China. Our Xinhan has too small a population, weak industrial foundation, and a geographical location that is not as good as Singapore. We can't compete with Annan, where labor is cheaper, even if we develop manufacturing. So, I think the focus should be on developing tourism and competing with Siam for business. Tourism? Xiao Hongjing was surprised. In Xinhan's economic structure, tourism income accounts for a small proportion, and it mainly relies on agriculture, fisheries, and processing and manufacturing industries. Among them, processing and manufacturing industries mainly include chip production. The reason why chip foundry appeared in Xinhan is mainly due to its early layout. In the 1970s and 1980s, it invested in a number of semiconductor companies such as Intel, Dell, TSMC, and Samsung Electronics. With a lot of shares, when these companies developed in Southeast Asia, Xinhan was given priority. Therefore, Xinhan has several production bases of internationally renowned semiconductor companies. Seeing his father's surprised expression, Xiao Yunhai explained, "Dad, our Xinhan has rich tourism resources, with hundreds of beautiful islands and Mount Kinabalu, the highest mountain in Southeast Asia. The tourism resources are very rich. Phuket in Siam, Bali in Java, and Maldives, the tourism income alone is several billion US dollars a year. I think our Xinhan has more potential than them. And I have studied that the current dragon country's economy is developing rapidly, and overseas travel has become a fashion. According to statistics, the number of overseas tourists in dragon country has reached 50 million per year, and the amount of consumption has reached hundreds of billions of dollars. This is the mainland of Longhua. If we count Hong Kong and Taiwan, it will be even more. We Xinhan and Longhua are of the same origin. There is no language barrier. If we vigorously develop tourism and improve infrastructure, I believe that our Xinhan is more attractive than Java, Siam, Malaysia, and other countries. A market of hundreds of billions of dollars. Even if we only take 10%, it is still tens of billions of dollars, which is also a high growth for our Xinhan. Moreover, I also plan to invest tens of billions of dollars to build hotels, theme parks, and island development in our Xinhan. Xiao Yunhai is not against the development of manufacturing, but it is not competitive. In his opinion, the only way out for small countries, in addition to tourism, should be to develop high value-added industries, such as medicine, semiconductor-related, such as drones, smartphones, and other industries. Others can't compete with Longhua at all. Let alone Longhua, even Annan can't compete. They have cheap labor, and their industrial system is much more sound than that of Xinhan. Although the tourism industry is greatly affected by international relations, the international political landscape will be very stable in the next 7 or 8 years. Besides, he only said that the tourism industry should be given priority at present, and he did not say that other industries should not be developed. The game industry can also be heavily bet on, especially mobile games. Don't underestimate the game industry. The money earned by Honor of Kings alone is more than that earned by hundreds of A-share listed companies every year. Xiao Hongjing did not respond immediately, but pondered what he said. Think about it carefully, there is some truth. In addition, he did not expect that outbound tourism in Longhua alone would be so popular. He admitted that he had underestimated the tourism industry before. Apart from other things, Longwa's outbound tourism alone, as long as it can get 1/10 of the market, will have tens of billions of US dollars. It is already 11.33% of Xinhan's GDP. Suppressing the thoughts in his mind, Xiao Hongjing looked at his eldest son with a smile. Since you are so optimistic about the tourism industry, how do you plan to snatch tourists from Longhua from Siam, Java, and other countries? It's very simple. After the infrastructure is improved, we will establish a 14-day visa-free system with Longhua. In addition, to expand publicity, I have invested in some internet websites in Longhua. When the time comes, I will fund bloggers to write travel notes and let the platform promote it. Continue brainwashing, and there will always be people coming. Third, it is to invite some celebrities from Longhua to travel, and then publish marketing articles to expand the popularity of our attractions, so that naturally many tourists will come to travel. Looking at the eldest son who was talking freely, Xiao Hongjing nodded secretly in his heart. From these 3 points of view, if it is done, it is very feasible. Since you are optimistic about the development of the tourism industry, let it go. Starting tomorrow, I will appoint you as the Deputy Prime Minister of the Cabinet, in charge of the 2 departments of tourism and transportation. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai was overjoyed. Being appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of the Cabinet means that he has been officially established as the Crown Prince. Before this, he was only the first in line of succession, not the Crown Prince, and the successor can change at any time. But the Crown Prince is different. Once established, it will not be easily changed. You must know that in Xinhan, the Crown Prince's status is second only to the king. He is also the future king of Xinhan. No man can resist the charm of power, especially for an ambitious man. The next day, at the cabinet meeting, Xiao Hongjing brought Xiao Yunhai to the meeting and appointed him as the Deputy Prime Minister and Crown Prince of the Cabinet. As for the Prime Minister of the Cabinet, it was naturally his father Xiao Hongjing. After hearing the appointment, many cabinet members attending the meeting were not surprised, but curiously looked at this Crown Prince, who rarely appeared and studied abroad. Ding! Congratulations to the host for becoming the Crown Prince. The system has been successfully activated and bound. Ding! The novice gift package is being distributed. The distribution is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a 300-person future film and television production team, including related equipment, a super effective weight loss drug formula, and a female traceless breast augmentation drug formula, and 1 million points. Just as Xiao Yunhai was immersed in being appointed as the Crown Prince, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded in his mind, which made Xiao Yunhai look stunned.
End.
Chapter 10. God help me. After the cabinet meeting, Xiao Yunhai returned home and couldn't wait to open the system to study. After studying, he couldn't help but exclaimed. This system is called a National Development System. As the name suggests, it helps him develop the country. The system consists of 4 sections: tasks, malls, talents, and loans. As the name suggests, the system will randomly issue some system tasks. After completing them, you can get rewards. If you don't complete them, there will be no failure penalties. The mall is very awesome. It contains hundreds of millions of items, such as star destroyers, elixirs of immortality, and even spiritual medicines and spiritual plants in the immortal realm, but the points required are also scary. Take the Star Destroyer as an example. It takes more than 10 trillion points to exchange for one ship. In short, the system currency is points. System, how do I get these points? After reading the system introduction, Xiao Yunhai felt that points were the most important thing. Ding! To reply to the host, points can be obtained by completing tasks. In addition, through consumption, for every $1, the tentative currency is US dollars, euros, and pounds. After the host consumes, the system automatically calculates the exchange rate and converts it into US dollars. 1 point can be obtained. Please note that finance, financial management, and investment are not included. You can get points as long as you consume? It's that simple? You use this to test me? See the system prompt text message. Xiao Yunhai's eyes widened. I thought points were difficult to get. Now it seems too damn easy. Who is he? He is the crown prince of the new Han dynasty. Not to mention the royal family, his personal wealth alone is tens of billions of dollars. Isn't it possible to get points without lying down? Ding. Novice task released. Please double the per capita GDP within 24 months. The current per capita GDP is $5,100. After completing the task, you can get 2 billion points and an unknown reward. Do you want to accept the task? See the system task. Xiao Yunhai chose to accept it without thinking. Points don't matter. He wants unknown rewards. Besides, according to what the system said, there will be no punishment even if it is not completed, so why not accept it? By the way, the system also rewards 1 million points. Let's see what I can buy. Xiao Yunhai thought of the novice reward, opened the mall panel, and filtered the price range. The result made him a little disappointed. 1 million points can buy some useless things. It seems that I have to spend money hard. Also, system, is your currency inflated? 1 million points can't buy anything good. In response to Xiao Yunhai's complaints, the system responded. If the host thinks it is expensive, you can buy it in the special price area. 10 random products are discounted every week. Oh, there are special discounts? Xiao Yunhai hurriedly looked for it carefully, and there was indeed a special price area, which was very hidden. If you don't look carefully, it's really not easy to find. Complaining that the system is a profiteer. Good things are hidden. Open the special price area. Similar to the game interface he played in his previous life, 10 products are arranged in 2 rows. An F-35A fighter jet, original price 38 million points, 10% discount for a limited time, 3.8 million points. A magical genetic pesticide formula that can accelerate the growth of crops, is non-toxic and harmless, and can optimize and improve the size and taste of crops. Original price 100 million points, 10% discount for a limited time, 10 million points. One giant oil field resource card. After using it, you can immediately generate an oil field with a reserve of 1 billion tons to 10 billion tons. Original price 1 billion points, 10% discount for a limited time, 100 million points. When Xiao Yunhai saw the oil field resource card, his eyes lit up. Wow, there is such a thing. An oil field is generated immediately, and the minimum is 1 billion tons. Only 100 million points are needed? This is too profitable. According to the current international oil price, $75 per barrel, 1 ton is equal to 7.2 barrels. 1 billion tons is 540 billion US dollars. This is still the lowest. If there is a critical hit, 10 billion tons will be obtained. Wouldn't it be worth 5.4 trillion US dollars? This is F asterisk 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 G lying down to make money and buy shit. No, this oil field resource card must be bought. Xiao Yunhai exited the system. It's just spending 100 million US dollars. For him, it can be spent at will. Pick up the phone and quickly dial a number. Lin Na, come to my bedroom. Yes, now? Hang up the phone. Xiao Yunhai, pick up a pen and paper. Yeah, it's just spending money. Let's start an airline first. 1 passenger plane. It will cost hundreds of millions at will. Investing in a company is the fastest way, but the system does not recognize investing in a company as a consumption behavior. Fortunately, buying an airplane is considered a consumption behavior. Buying an airline is not. In a word, buying a company is not a consumption behavior. It just so happens that he wants to vigorously develop the tourism industry and needs passenger planes. The initial benefits are low, and there are few people coming. Naturally, the airlines of Longwa will not open more routes. In this case, the airlines of Zhenhangguo need to open more flights to increase the popularity. With more tourists coming to Xinhan, there will naturally be more routes and flights. Knock knock, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Your Highness, are you looking for me? A fashionable woman about 30 years old came in. She was the assistant assigned to him by his father. She was not very beautiful, just above average, but in the past few days, she was diligent and meticulous. Well, 3 things. First, set up an airline. Well, call it Xinhan Airlines. Second, then release the news to the public that we will purchase 50 to 100 passenger planes. Third, immediately purchase an office building in the city center. Don't care about the price. Don't want an old building. Want a newly built office building. It's best to have several buildings together so that you can work and move in at any time. Xiao Yunhai expressed his needs. The reason why he was in a hurry to buy a building was that in addition to the office needs of the airline, the system also rewarded him with a film and television production team, which must be used and not wasted. The system also rewarded him with special weight loss drugs and breast augmentation drug formulas. The entire medical research institute must be used to make these things. Finally, buying a building is also a consumption behavior. If you want to kill two birds with one stone, you must buy it. Okay, Your Highness. Lin Na quickly wrote down Xiao Yunhai's needs. Your Highness, if there is nothing else, I will go first. Well, go ahead, do what I just said as quickly as possible, understand? Xiao Yunhai was afraid that she would delay, so he could not help but remind her seriously. After all, it is a limited time discount, and you missed it this time. Next time, there may not be a good thing to get a discount on the oil resource card. Lin Na nodded, and then left Xiao Yunhai's office. Reading is fun every day during the National Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 11. It has to be said that Lin Na is very efficient. She registered an airline on the same day, and immediately, she called the media to announce that Xinghan Airlines, founded by the Crown Prince, plans to purchase 50 to 100 passenger planes to develop the aviation industry of the new Han Kingdom. In order to spread the news as quickly as possible, she also deliberately got the news to international video and news websites such as YouTube, with the aim of attracting the attention of Boeing and Airbus. United States. Boeing. Mr. President, I just got the news that the new Han Kingdom in Southeast Asia plans to purchase a batch of passenger planes. The number is more than 50. Oh. Scott Carson, then president of Boeing, asked with some interest. What kind of country is this, and it has the money to buy 50 passenger planes at once? 50 passenger planes are not a small number, at least 30 to 40 billion US dollars. The female assistant quickly found out about the information about the new Han Kingdom. When Scott Carson heard that the new Han Kingdom was only a country with a population of more than 10 million and a GDP of only more than 80 billion US dollars, he frowned obviously. Obviously, he didn't think that such a country could afford so many planes. However, when he heard his assistant say that the Xinghan royal family had been exposed to hold stocks of technology companies such as Micron and Google, and was rated by some magazines as having assets of tens of billions of dollars, his face relaxed a lot. What you just said is that the crown prince of this country founded an airline and needs to purchase 50 passenger planes? Yes, sir, this is the information we have received so far. Well, although I don't know whether they can afford so many planes, since the business is here, don't miss it. Call Alba and ask them to contact the Xinghan country to discuss this matter. Yes, with this. After receiving the news, Airbus in Europe. The CEO of Airbus personally led the team and flew to Southeast Asia on the same day. Everyone wants to get this order before their opponents. 50 planes are not a small number. It can be said that there are few large orders. 2 days later, when Alba, vice president of Boeing Civil Aircraft Company, came to the conference room and saw Thomas Enders, CEO of Airbus, he was originally confident that he could get the order, but secretly thought it was not good. With a smile on his face, he nodded to the other party and then sat down. Thomas Enders, CEO of Airbus, was also a little nervous. As a competitor, he knew the ability of his opponent too well. It was not the problem of the aircraft, but the small tricks behind the other party, which put pressure on small countries and forced them to buy Boeing's aircraft. And it happened more than once. As a result, when the contract for the originally agreed project was about to be signed, the purchaser broke the contract, and the instigator behind it was Boeing. So, facing Alba's smile, Thomas Enders looked cold and did not respond, but his heart was full of worries. Just when the two sides were frowning, da-da-da, footsteps came, and then everyone saw the door of the conference room being pushed open, and then a very handsome young man walked in, followed by several strong men in black and a woman. A strong man in black quickly stepped forward and pulled out the chair of the main seat. The young man sat down. Looking at the eyes cast at him, Xiao Yunhai smiled calmly. My name is Xiao Yunhai, the boss of Xinghan Airlines. Thank you all for coming. I won't waste time. Let me first tell you my needs. Just 2 points, fast delivery time, and high-cost performance. Well, this time the purchase model is a narrow-body aircraft, that is, the Boeing 737 series and the Airbus 320-321 series. At this point, Xiao Yunhai waved his hand. Lin Na behind him took out 2 pieces of paper and 2 pins. Then she put them in front of Alba and Thomas Enders. Under the blank eyes of the two, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, I like efficiency and don't like to waste time on negotiations. There are papers and pins in front of you. You can think about the delivery time and price, and then write down a time and price that you think is appropriate. Each company has only one chance. Okay, you two can start. Alba and Thomas Enders were dumbfounded. I have negotiated many business deals, but I have never seen business deals like this. Just come and ask them to quote. Isn't this a bit too efficient? The two complained in their hearts, but they had to cheer up and think about what price to quote to grab the order from the opponent. You have to grab the order and make money. Xiao Yunhai crossed his legs, drank the Longjing brought back from Longhua, and quietly watched the two people guessing each other. He asked Lin Na to arrange for Boeing and Airbus to meet at the same time, in order to let the two parties lower the price against each other, so that he could benefit. Although the system made him spend money, but he didn't want to be a sucker. Time passed by minute, looking at the two people who had not yet started writing. Xiao Yunhai put down the teacup in his hand. He raised his hand to check the time on his watch, and then said to Thomas Enders and Alba, "If you two can't write in person, you can write separately. Well, there is a room next door where you can write. However, I remind you that time is limited. I hope that you can write your quotation in 10 minutes. Under the pressure of Xiao Yunhai's words, the two had to pick up the pen and write a number with a small profit. Took the paper handed over by the two parties. Boeing's quotation has two models. Boeing 737-900ER, price $83 million. Boeing 737-800, price $75 million. Both models are relatively new, with a range of 5,800 to 6,000 kilometers and 180 to 200 seats. Airbus's offer is much cheaper. Airbus A320-100, price $62 million. Airbus A321-100, price $68 million. Among them, the Airbus A321-100 can accommodate up to 220 people, and its range is similar to that of the Boeing 737-900ER. First, the Boeing 737-800 is excluded. Not only is it expensive, but its range is also not comparable to the other three models. The remaining comparisons are a full $10 million difference. Xiao Yunhai is not stupid, and the fastest delivery time for Boeing is 3 years even if it jumps the queue. It's too long for him. Maybe they have too many orders. Airbus will be much faster. After knowing the situation, Xiao Yunhai asked Lin Na to send the Boeing people off. Lin Na nodded, knowing that Xiao Yunhai had made his decision, and then walked to the Boeing representative with a smile. "Mr. Alba, thank you for your kindness and coming to this meeting. I hope we can cooperate next time. It's getting late. I'll see you off." Alba naturally heard the meaning of Lin Na's words. His face was not good. He snorted coldly, and then stood up and left with a cold face. Thomas Enders, who was sitting opposite, breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that they, Airbus, won. Have fun reading books every day on the 11th. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 12. Meeting Room. Mr. Thomas, I am quite satisfied with your offer, but isn't it a little too long? 2 years is too long. Can it be delivered within half a year? Putting down the quotation in his hand, Xiao Yunhai looked at Thomas Enders on his right. Half a year. Thomas Enders was startled, then shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Sir, I definitely can't deliver it in this time. The time is too tight, and there are so many orders ahead. 2 years is already the fastest." Xiao Yunhai frowned slightly, somewhat dissatisfied with this answer. "Mr. Thomas, I believe in your ability, and you will definitely be able to do it. So, I order 30 Airbus A320-100s and 45 Airbus A321-100s, a total of 75. In addition, based on your quotation, I will add $2 million per aircraft to the price, which is considered as the cost of my queue jumping. How about it?" "This, Your Highness, this is against the rules. If you do this, it will affect the reputation of our Airbus." Thomas Enders looked embarrassed. Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows and put up 3 fingers. $3 million. This is my bottom price. If it doesn't work, then cancel the order and I'll find someone to rent the plane. Hearing this, Thomas Enders hesitated. It was not because of the price of $3 million per plane, but mainly because the order Xiao Yunhai gave was relatively large, 75 passenger planes. This number is second only to the order of Longhua Southern Airlines in previous years. It's good to receive such a large order throughout the year. After weighing the pros and cons, Thomas Enders, who was unwilling to lose this large order, gritted his teeth and looked at Xiao Yunhai. "Your Highness, the Crown Prince, you want too many, and it is impossible to deliver all of them in half a year. How about this, deliver 15 in half a year, deliver 50 within a year, and the remaining 25, all delivered within half a year." After a pause, looking at Xiao Yunhai frowning, Thomas smiled bitterly and said, "This is already the fastest way. Even so, We have to coordinate with many parties and even offend some customers. Xiao Yunhai thought about it. It would be fine if 15 can be delivered in half a year. He developed tourism, whether it was building a dock, expanding the airport, building a hotel, or improving the island living facilities. It would take time. Okay, just as you said, 15 within half a year and 50 within a year. Huh. Hearing this, Thomas Enders breathed a sigh of relief. The deal was finally done. Thinking of the 75 plane order, Thomas Enders smiled happily. Thank you, His Royal Highness, for your trust in Airbus. Don't worry, Airbus will deliver on time. Well, Xiao Yunhai stood up, stretched out his hand and said to Thomas Enders, Mr. Thomas, happy cooperation? Happy cooperation. After the general direction was agreed, Xiao Yunhai handed the rest of the matter over to the people from the Royal Investment Bureau. They are professional in contract matters. After all, they have invested in no less than hundreds of companies. The next day, the money was transferred, and it was the full amount, not a deposit. Airbus was overjoyed with such a straightforward customer, as they liked generous customers. Apart from anything else, the delivery had to be on time and in quantity based on the two items of adding $3 million to each aircraft and paying the full amount. How could they know that Xiao Yunhai just wanted to complete the consumption as soon as possible so that he could buy discounted oil fields from the system? 75 aircraft, with an order amount of $5.145 billion. Another $320 million was spent on buying the building. It was not a building, but a park consisting of 5 20-story buildings. The developer was a developer named Heng Lung in Longhua, Shangjiang, which acquired the land and built it in 2001. The building was completed in 2004, but the occupancy rate was very low and the price could not be raised. The main reason was that there were too few foreign-funded enterprises, and there were few decent large private enterprises in Xinhan, so the occupancy rate was naturally very low. Now that someone bought it, they were naturally willing to cash out and leave. In less than 5 days, $5.465 billion was spent. It's almost done. Xiao Yunhai is quite satisfied. Open the system interface. Check the account points. Sure enough, the account points went from 1 million points to 5.466 billion points. Seeing the skyrocketing points, Xiao Yunhai couldn't wait to open them all. The limited time special sale item sales page. The countdown showed that there were 49 hours left. Oil resource card, here I come. Find the oil resource card and directly choose the purchase quantity. Bought 50 cards at one time. Don't ask why I bought so many. If you don't make money when there is a bargain, you are a fool. After buying 50 oil field cards, he bought another, Magic Gene Pesticide Formula, spending 10 million points. He wanted to see how powerful this thing is. If it is really as powerful as described, it can be made and sold to farmers to increase farmers' income. In fact, for many people, what they want is a fair and prosperous life. As long as these two are met, only fools will rebel. Xiao Yunhai did not buy the F-35A stealth fighter. The main reason is that after buying this thing, it will cause a lot of trouble. Besides, the current new Han Kingdom is suitable for keeping a low profile and developing farming. Developing the economy is the kingly way. Once the economy is up, it will not be too late to arm. If we engage in military industry now, it will not only aggravate regional tensions, but also put New Han in trouble. Once the economy declines, it is very likely to cause dissatisfaction among the people, and the royal family's rule will be in crisis. Don't think that you can be invincible with oil. Look at Venezuela in South America, which has the largest oil reserves in the world, but it is still surrounded and sanctioned by the Americans, and it is not as good as some developing countries. Therefore, before there is a strong enough economy, it is better to calm down and farm. The other 7 discounted items are not good things, and Xiao Yunhai doesn't look down on them. Looking at the remaining 466 million points, Xiao Yunhai is not in a hurry to spend. First, use the system rewards and redemption items.
End.
Chapter 13. Buy 50 oilfield resource cards, genetic pesticide formulas, and system reward items before finding them in the system warehouse. Take an oilfield resource card. Do you want to use it immediately? In his mind, the system prompt sounded.
Yes.
Xiao Yunhai chose the confirmation option. He prayed for good luck in his heart and opened a large oil field. Please select the resource refresh location. As soon as the voice fell, a virtual map of the new Han Kingdom appeared in front of Xiao Yunhai, with mountains, rivers, and seas appearing in front of him in 3D. After a careful look, Xiao Yunhai was shocked. He didn't expect the mountains and rivers of the new Han Kingdom to be so beautiful. In the past, I only looked at the plain map, and I couldn't see the height difference, so it was naturally not as good as 3D in visual terms. After carefully studying the map and considering many aspects, he finally chose Jeddah Bay. Jeddah Bay is located north of Chang'an, about 100 kilometers away. It is a U-shaped bay. The bay is governed by 3 counties, namely Lanling, Linan, and Dongyang. The main reason for choosing here is that the bay is large enough. The surrounding sea area is open and close to the South China Sea. The surrounding area is also controlled by the New Han. The opposite Palawan Island is also the territory of the New Han. Although the Philippine monkeys have always claimed that the location of the New Han, Sabah, is their territory, it is just talk. In short, it is placed here, surrounded by the New Han territory, which is safe enough. Ding! The location is determined. Opening. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3.39 billion tons of oil fields. Resources are being refreshed. Countdown 23 hours and 59 minutes. 3.39 billion tons? Xiao Yunhai was a little disappointed. He thought that at worst there would be more than 4 billion tons. Unexpectedly, 3.39 billion tons. Think about it, I just spent points, which is free. 3.39 billion tons is not bad. It is worth trillions of dollars. Besides, there are 49 oil field cards. Thinking of this, Xiao Yunhai's low and depressed mood disappeared instantly. Looking at the remaining 49 oil field cards. How about opening another one? The thought came up, and Xiao Yunhai couldn't help but want to open another box. It was just like playing a game. When you see a box, you can't help but want to open it. Open it again. Just open one. After a psychological struggle, Xiao Yunhai took another oil field resource card and quickly selected the refresh location on the map. This time he didn't choose Jeddah Bay. He chose Jiangdu Bay instead. Jiangdu Bay is located in Jiangdu County, and part of it belongs to the capital Chang'an. The bay area is not smaller than Jeddah Bay, and it is more open. In addition, he remembered that this sea area is very shallow, with an average depth of less than 50 meters. Such a depth is very suitable for oil extraction, and the extraction cost will be much lower. Ding! The location is determined. Opening. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2.67 billion tons of oil fields. Resources are being refreshed. Countdown 23 hours and 59 minutes. Good guy. How come the number has become lower? Looking at the system displaying the number of 2.67 billion tons of oil fields, Xiao Yunhai was disappointed. It is true that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Forget it. It's free, so don't ask for too much. After comforting himself, Xiao Yunhai adjusted his mentality. He didn't plan to open the remaining resource cards in the short term. With 2 oil field cards, 6 billion tons of oil fields have been opened, which is already eye-catching enough. If a few more are opened, more than 10 billion tons can be produced. Without the ability to protect oneself, having a strategic resource like oil will undoubtedly be coveted by thieves. Maybe the bald eagle will find a reason to attack Xinhan, or instigate Java, Philippine monkeys, or Malay in Southeast Asia to attack Xinhan and fight an agent war, so it's better to develop for a few years. Exit the system. In the afternoon, Xiao Yunhai asked Lin Na to lead the way and went to the newly bought office building. In the prosperous South City district, the core area of Longwu Avenue. The original name of the project was Honglung Chang'an Center. The name has been changed. From now on, it will be called Xinghan Chang'an Center. Standing on the side of the road, Xiao Yunhai looked up at the big words and said to Lin Na beside him in a light tone.
Yes.
Lin Na nodded to indicate that she had taken note. Let's go in and take a look. After saying that, she walked towards the park. Lin Na informed Xiao Yunhai of the news she had found out from the park management. 5 buildings. 4 buildings have been rented out, but the occupancy rate is not high. Otherwise, Heng Lung would not sell it. Coming to the unrented building, it is also the tallest building in the park, with 36 floors. Wait for me downstairs. When he was about to enter the building, Xiao Yunhai turned and said to Lin Na, Your Highness, it's too unsafe for you to go up alone. What if? Lin Na looked embarrassed. Okay, there are not so many assassins. Direction, wait for me downstairs. Also, you arrange someone to go to the bank to withdraw 10 million Han Yuan. I will use it. People recruited by the system also have to eat, drink, defecate and urinate, and even marry and have children. The only difference from ordinary people is that loyalty to the host is their deep-rooted idea, and it will not change with the change of time. Yes, seeing Xiao Yunhai's unquestionable expression, Lin Na had no choice but to nod and agree, and then arranged for someone to get the money. Xiao Yunhai walked into the building alone, and then took the elevator to the top floor. Ding! The elevator door opened, and he walked out. The corridor was very empty, and there was no one. Xiao Yunhai opened the warehouse on the system interface. Select the film and television team icon. Ding. Do you want to materialize immediately? Seeing the prompt, Xiao Yunhai did not hesitate at all and chose yes. The next second, the empty corridor in front of him twisted, and then people began to appear one by one. More and more, and finally the whole corridor was full of people. Hello, Master. After getting familiar with the surrounding environment and seeing Xiao Yunhai, everyone saluted respectfully. Hello. Xiao Yunhai smiled and nodded to everyone. After some communication and inquiry, Xiao Yunhai left several leaders of this top film and television production team, and as for the rest, they each want to find an office and install equipment. The system rewards are not just people, but also various future film and television production equipment and software. Meeting room. Can your team make an animated film? Xiao Yunhai asked straight to the point. No problem, as long as there is a story script, we can make any animation. Han Peng, the head of this top film and television team. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai took out the script, White Snake E-Origin, that he had exchanged before from the system warehouse. Look, this is the script. Xiao Yunhai handed over a thick stack of scripts, which were just scripts with lines, without illustrations or the like. Hearing this, Han Peng and others took the script and flipped through it for more than 10 minutes. He said, Master, this script is pretty good. It explains what human nature and love are in depth. But Susian and White Snake are of different races. How can they be together? Han Peng and others were puzzled. Xiao Yunhai was confused. This is not wait. Xiao Yunhai suddenly remembered that the person summoned might not know all about the legend of the White Snake. Although the system would implant some knowledge, it was more about filming and film production. There were so many mythological stories that they might not know all of them. When you have time, search for the TV series Legend of the New White Snake and related information on the internet, so that you can understand the story better and make things more appropriate. In addition, you can call me Your Highness in the future, not Master. Han Peng and others looked at each other, then stood up and bowed respectfully to Xiao Yunhai. Yes, Your Highness. Xiao Yunhai raised his hand to signal everyone to take a seat. He asked, If you come to make this animated film, how long will it take? From the information I have seen so far, it is not particularly complicated. It may take 3 or 4 months at the fastest and half a year at the slowest. Han Peng said after thinking for a while. So fast? Xiao Yunhai was shocked. Read books every day on the 11th. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 14. Although he is not a professional, he knows a thing or two. An animated film basically takes a year, or even 3 or 4 years to complete. It takes 3 months to make a special effects animated film, which is a bit too fast. Fortunately, it is mainly because I am not familiar with the background and related materials of this story in advance, otherwise it can be faster. Our equipment and technology are not comparable to the current world equipment. Many background scene models are made by AI, which can be much faster. In addition, advanced equipment such as human motion and expression capture are used, which can save a lot of manpower and material resources. 3 months is already a long time. Under normal circumstances, it can be completed in 2 months. Yes, there are faster ones. Suppressing the surprise in his heart, Xiao Yunhai said, Don't worry, try to make it more perfect. I hope this animated film can be a hit. He originally planned to make the Tomb Raider series and Zhu Xian, but the copyrights were not obtained, so he could only make these 2 first, just as a practice. If it is really as powerful as the system said, it will not be too late to develop it vigorously. After hearing Xiao Yunhai's instructions, several people hurriedly stood up and said solemnly, Please rest assured, Your Highness, we will do our best to do this well. Well, this matter is left to you. After instructing several people, Xiao Yunhai went to other floors. Open the system panel. Found the talent recruitment. System, how to recruit talents. Now he not only has the formula, but also breast augmentation drugs and food gene pesticides. These things must be controlled in his own hands. Otherwise, they may be leaked at any time. And the Death Soldiers are 100% loyal, so it is necessary to recruit talented Death Soldiers. In the future, he will also find ways to replace the backbone of the army, especially the senior generals, with Death Soldiers. Ding. Back to the host, just need to silently recite the type and number of talents to be recruited. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai began to recite in his heart. Ding. Recruitment successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 15 top medical research experts and 5 top biological and pesticide medical experts. The next second, 20 people appeared in front of him. 7 or 8 of them were women. Secretly, women are not completely vases. Took a look at the system account. Wow, a full 2 million points were deducted. On average, one expert spent 100,000 points. Although it is a bit expensive, after reading the introduction of the system, Xiao Yunhai still feels that it is worth the money. After all, it turns out that he is a technical expert who can speed up the research progress. As before, Xiao Yunhai stretched out his hand and shook hands with everyone one by one. After exchanging greetings, he took out the super-effective weight loss medicine formula, the female traceless breast augmentation medicine formula, and the magical gene pesticide formula that the system had rewarded before, and asked everyone to make a list of what equipment and materials they needed to buy, and appointed Xiao Yunhai as the head of this research institute. After waiting for about an hour, Xiao Yunhai had a thick list in his hand. Call Xiao Yunhai and Liang Peng, the head of Dream Chaser Film and Television, upstairs, to go downstairs together. Downstairs, Lin Na, who had been worried, was relieved when she saw Xiao Yunhai coming out of the elevator and hurried forward to greet him. At the same time, she also found that there were 2 more people behind Xiao Yunhai, and she couldn't help but wonder who these 2 people were and why they were in the building. In addition, why were they following behind his own prince? Your Highness, you are finally down. If you don't come down again, I will bring people up to find you. As soon as they met, Lin Na started to grumble, her words full of worry for Xiao Yunhai. Haha, sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. Then, Xiao Yunhai changed the subject and asked with a smile, did you bring the things? Yes. Lin Na nodded, then turned around and waved, and 2 bodyguards came in with 2 suitcases. Your Highness, this is 10 million Han Yuan. Xiao Yunhai reached out and touched it, then closed the box and handed the 2 boxes full of money to the 2 people respectively. Take this money and use it first. If the money is not enough, find Lin Na. At this point, Xiao Yunhai turned around and introduced the 2 people to Lin Na. This is Liang Peng from the Dream Chaser Company. This is an expert from a research institute, Xiao Yunhai. In the future, the 2 of them will contact you to purchase supplies. You will be responsible for solving the problem. If there is not enough money or the problem cannot be solved, you can contact me. Understand? Lin Na looked at the 2 of them, then nodded to Xiao Yunhai. Yes, Your Highness. Okay, you 2 can get to know each other and communicate. Lin Na, leave them a contact number. In addition, here is a list of items to be purchased. You can arrange for someone to purchase them. Xiao Yunhai handed the list to Lin Na. Lin Na reached out to take the list and glanced at it casually. Most of them were very ordinary things, but they were not difficult to buy. I waited for 10 minutes to let Lin Na get to know Xiao Yunhai and Liang Peng. Then I left here. The next day, at 12 o'clock in the morning, the system prompted that the 2 oil resource points that had been materialized had been refreshed successfully. Xiao Yunhai immediately came to his father's palace. What? What happened? Seeing his son in a hurry, Xiao Lao, who was fishing in the artificial lake of the palace, frowned and asked. Unlike the busy kings of other countries, in the kingdom of New Han, the king is the prime minister, but there are few things to do. Most of them are handled by the cabinet, and the cabinet members are mostly heads of departments. In addition, there are specially hired consultants to form the cabinet. This is a bit like the king of Siam. The king of Siam often travels to Europe with his family. Xiao Lao is not like this. He also holds a cabinet meeting once a week to listen to reports from cabinet members. As for urgent matters, they can be reported directly to Xiao Lao. This will reduce the king's work and avoid overwork. Dad, I have great news for you. My people have discovered oil in the exploration of Jeddah Bay, and after computer simulation and data analysis, they suspect that there should be a giant oil field on the seabed of Jeddah Bay. Xiao Yunhai pretended to be excited and said to his father, Jeddah Bay? Oil field? That's impossible. We explored it before, but didn't find any oil field. Did your people make a mistake? After a brief moment of happiness, Father Xiao immediately doubted the truth of the matter. Dad, oil has really been found. It was not found before, so it must be because of the poor technical equipment. My people are using the latest technical equipment for exploration, so there will be no mistakes. If you don't believe it, how about asking the Energy Bureau to go to Jeddah Bay for exploration again, and drill deeper according to the coordinates provided by my people to see if there is really oil? Father Xiao was a little moved when he heard this. If oil is really found, and it is a giant oil field. Father Xiao trembled all over and said quickly, You are right, call the Energy Bureau immediately and ask them to go to Jeddah Bay immediately. Dad, I will go there in person. You will go there in person? Yes, I will go there in person. If oil is really found, the news must be controlled as soon as possible. Xiao Yunhai looked determined. Father Xiao nodded. Oil is too important. If a giant oil field is really discovered, it may attract the covetousness of other countries. Thinking of this, he said, "You are right. Okay, you lead the team yourself. If you find oil, call me as soon as possible."
Yes.
Xiao Yunhai nodded in agreement. That day, he took 50 palace guards and bodyguards, and people from the Energy Bureau, and took several business buses to Jeddah Bay.
And
Chapter 15. After the convoy arrived at Lanling County, Xiao Yunhai did not accompany the exploration team to the sea for a walk, but arranged a dozen palace guards to accompany the exploration team. He took the remaining guards and rented 2 boats, intending to visit the surrounding islands to see which island is suitable for tourism development. As for the oil field, there is no need to go there in person. No one knows better than him whether there is an oil field in Jeddah Bay. The county magistrate of Lanling County and other government teams, after learning that Xiao Yunhai was going to visit the sea and see the islands, personally accompanied him. County Magistrate Wang, there should be many islands under the jurisdiction of your Lanling County. Which island do you think is suitable for tourism development? Or, is there an island with clear water suitable for diving? If so, take me there to see it. Upon hearing this, County Magistrate Wang replied, "Your Highness, there are many islands that meet this condition." "Really? Then go to the one you think is the best." "Okay, Your Highness." From the port pier, take a boat, and it takes about an hour to finally reach the destination. From a distance, the island is very large. The coastline is full of white sandy beaches. "What is the name of this island? How big is it?" Xiao Yunhai asked. "Your Highness, this island is called Bangi Island. It is the largest island under the jurisdiction of our county, with an area of 440.7 square kilometers. The island is densely planted and has many animals." "Oh, so large?" Xiao Yunhai was a little surprised. A 440 square kilometer island is not small. You should know that the Malacca Lion City Kingdom is only more than 700 square kilometers, and it is so much after land reclamation. Before land reclamation, it was only more than 500 square kilometers. Are there people living on the island? Yes, very few. Mainly some nearby fishermen live on the island, and there are also staff from the Hydrological Observatory and the Forestry Bureau. There are still quite a few people in total, probably more than 10,000 people. It seems that Xiao Yunhai is very interested in this island. On one side, County Magistrate Wang continued to say, in addition to its large area, clear water, and multiple places suitable for snorkeling, this island also has more than a dozen small islands around it, which are very close to each other and very suitable for tourism development. But no one has come here to invest. Xiao Yunhai put down the telescope, looked at the empty sea in front of him, and smiled and said, "There was no such thing before, but there will be in the future." County Magistrate Wang was not stupid and immediately understood what he meant. He said with surprise, "Your Highness, are you saying that someone is willing to come here to invest and develop tourism?" "Yes. I plan to invest $1 billion to build a resort and a resort hotel here. At that time, you will need to communicate well with the people on the island. The $1 billion will definitely not only be used to build hotels, but also to build supporting infrastructure. For example, expand the dock and build a supporting airport. Yes, if you want to develop tourism on this island, you must build an airport. Otherwise, it will take 40 to 50 minutes, or even more than an hour, to take a boat from Lanling County, which is a waste of time. And this island has more than 440 square kilometers, which is more than enough to build an airport." Hiss. I heard that they are going to invest $1 billion in the island. Convert the currency carefully. Doesn't that mean 3.5 billion Han yuan? County Magistrate Wang couldn't help but gasp. Wait, just now, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince said, could it be? County Magistrate Wang showed an ecstatic look. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince invested heavily in developing tourism here. What does that mean? Opportunity. Opportunity for promotion. Investing so much money here to develop, he will definitely come to inspect frequently. Even His Majesty the King will come, and after seeing him more often, maybe after getting familiar with him and seeing that he does a good job, he will use him. Thinking of this, County Magistrate Wang felt that his future was bright. Of course, the premise is to do a good job in politics. It's not his fault that he thought so. There are 60 or 70 counties in the country. So many counties, the competition is naturally fierce. Besides, Xiao Hongjing doesn't like to inspect. The county magistrates below will naturally not see him. In this regard, Xiao Yunhai is completely different from his father. Maybe he was a lower-class person in his previous life, and he knows what the ordinary people at the bottom think. It is said that only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. Only by visiting frequently and going deep into the grassroots can we understand the people's thoughts and know the sufferings of the people. Walking barefoot on the beach, carefully feeling the clear water and fine sand, Xiao Yunhai nodded and said, "The sand here is really good, very fine, and the water is clear, which is very suitable for the development of tourism. By the way, what island is on the other side?" Following the direction pointed by Xiao Yunhai, County Magistrate Wang looked carefully and replied, "That is Balan Island, which is also under the jurisdiction of our county. The area is more than half smaller than Bangji Island. I remember it seems to be more than 160 square kilometers. The quality of the beach near the South China Sea is worse than Bangji Island, but the water there is deeper and not suitable for snorkeling. The southern area is better, with a large area of shallow beaches, but the quality of the beach is not as good as the open sea." "Well, it's pretty good." Xiao Yunhai raised his hand and pointed to the nearest place between the two islands. The two islands are close to each other, and the closest distance seems to be only 3 or 4 kilometers. If Bangji Island can be developed, it can also extend outward. "Your Highness is right." County Magistrate Wang quickly agreed. Xiao Yunhai retracted his gaze. He said to County Magistrate Wang beside him, "You need to be prepared, especially to expand the Lanling County Wharf in advance. After all, many building materials will be transported from the Lanling Wharf to the island." "Understood. Please rest assured, Your Highness, Lanling County will fully cooperate." "Very good." Xiao Yunhai showed satisfaction on his face. "You should communicate with the people on the island as soon as possible. There are 2 options, resettlement on the spot, and the other is to take money. No matter which one, we respect the choice of the people. Although most of the land on the island belongs to the country, that is, the royal family, private property, that is, the residents' houses, is private property. Under the laws of the new Han Kingdom, private property is sacred and inviolable. Whether to move or not, it has no effect on Xiao Yunhai. What's more, he has plenty of money now. There is no need to make the relationship awkward and affect the image and reputation of the royal family in the hearts of the people."
End
Chapter 16. After staying on the island for more than 2 hours, he set off to return to Lanling County. On August 15th, his 7th day in Lanling County, the offshore oil drilling team finally received good news that oil had been discovered, and it was high-quality light oil. After simulation calculations, there are at least 1 billion tons of oil on the seabed of Jeddah Bay. Xiao Yunhai, who received the call, couldn't help rolling his eyes when he heard the other party say 1 billion tons of oil. 3.37 billion tons, you said 1 billion tons. Well, a 1 billion ton oil field will not attract so many covetousness. After all, there are dozens of 1 billion ton oil fields discovered in the world. Take the neighbor of the new Han Kingdom, Brunei, for example. The proven oil reserves have reached 1.4 billion tons. Relying on the money earned from oil, the per capita income of the small country of Brunei has reached $20,000 to $30,000, making it the second largest country in Southeast Asia after Lion City. Instruct not to rush to publicize the news of the discovery of oil. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Yunhai immediately called his father, who was far away in Chang'an. Beep. The phone rang several times before it was connected. "Hello? Dad, it's me. The drilling team of the Energy Bureau has already drilled out oil, and it's high-quality light oil. I said before that my people found oil, but you still didn't believe it. Now even the drilling team of the Energy Bureau has found it." The father's urgent voice came from the phone immediately. "How much is the reserve?" "The exploration team said that there are about 1 billion tons." "Good. Well done. God bless my Xinhan." The father's happy voice came from the phone. "Dad, we have to set up an oil mining company as soon as possible, and we have to speed up the purchase of equipment to avoid more trouble. In addition, we must also let the military and police near Jeddah Bay be prepared for alert to prevent foreign forces from instigating and sabotaging." Xiao Yunhai made his own suggestion. "You are right. We should do this. I will give the army an order to put them on alert. Also, you should come back soon and stop hanging around outside." Dad Xiao was still a little worried about the safety of his eldest son. It was safer to be with him. "Well, I will be back tomorrow." The show was over, so Xiao Yunhai naturally didn't want to stay too long. How could the hotel be as comfortable as his own bedroom? Also, he had a lot of ideas about oil extraction and wanted to communicate with his dad. It would be best to establish his own chemical industry, instead of just selling crude oil like those princely countries in the Middle East. Although selling crude oil is indeed worry-free and trouble-free, more usable materials can be separated in the process of crude oil refining, which is also a good opportunity to establish a good foundation for the new Han petrochemical industry. Like the asphalt used in daily life and the carbon fiber used in stealth fighters, many materials are extracted from crude oil. Developing the petrochemical industry can not only reduce imports, but also bring a large number of jobs and create more benefits. The next day, Xiao Yunhai returned to Chang'an. That afternoon, he met with his father. He briefly summarized his trip and then expressed his thoughts. You can decide on the development of tourism yourself. For the oil, do you mean to cooperate with Longhua? But I remember that Longhua's oil refining technology is not the most advanced in the world. Xiao Hongjing said with a frown. Dad, we want advanced technology, but we don't have experienced workers or advanced equipment. How can we do it? After a pause, Xiao Yunhai continued. Cooperation with Longhua is only one of the economic benefits. The second is to deepen the economic and trade between the two countries, which is equivalent to finding a strong country as a backer. I know that the United States has advanced oil refining technology, but they want to eat alone. Longhua is different. They have been promoting win-win cooperation. I believe that as long as we find a 1 billion-ton oil field, they will definitely be interested and come to seek cooperation. When we propose that both parties jointly invest to build an oil refinery in Lanling for oil refining, they will definitely be happy. In fact, he can spend points to buy oil refining equipment, technology, workers, etc. from the system. But Xiao Yunhai did not do so. Instead, he proposed to cooperate with Longhua. In fact, he wanted to find a backer for Xinhan, so that after Longhua joined, the Americans would have to weigh it. If Xinhan engaged in crude oil processing by itself, it would make more money, but it would also put Xinhan in a dangerous situation. The Americans love to send CIA intelligence personnel to the enemy country to carry out a coup. So as long as they refuse to cooperate with the United States, the Americans will inevitably do something secretly. With Longhua joining in, the Americans will definitely be a little bit timid. After all, Longhua is the largest creditor of the United States at the moment, and the United States needs Longhua to get out of the financial crisis. Hearing his son's explanation, Xiao Hongjing instantly understood why he wanted to cooperate with Longhua, and a gratified expression appeared on his face. Yes, it's very thoughtful. It seems that you have learned a lot in Longhua in the past few years. Since you want to cooperate with Longhua, let's do as you say. Let's cooperate with Longhua. Xiao Yunhai said, Dad, my suggestion is that you'd better make a state visit to Longhua. In addition to the oil issue, I think the relationship between the two countries should be upgraded, preferably in all-round economic cooperation, such as film and television, agriculture, medical care, and tourism. All-round cooperation is also to facilitate his company to enter the large market of Longhua. With the system, plus he is a reborn person, double golden fingers, in the film and television, medical field, it is definitely a reverse output, that is, the output of Xinhan to Longhua. Xiao Hongjing thought about it carefully and felt that it was necessary to visit Longhua. The economy is one, and the second is the need for security and defense issues to deepen the cooperation between the two countries. Okay, I'll go to Longhua as you said. Seeing that his father agreed to his arrangement and went to Longhua for a visit, Xiao Yunhai's expression also relaxed. Now he just waits for his father to go to Longhua for negotiations. Avoid more dreams at night. After communicating with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Longhua, it was finally decided that 3 days later, that is, on August 19th, Xiao Hongjing would pay a state visit to Longhua.
End.
Chapter 17. Time flies. A week has passed in a flash. August 28th. Xiao Hongjing, who went to Longhua for a state visit, also returned to Chang'an. Xiao Yunhai went to the airport to greet him as soon as possible. Dad. Seeing Xiao Hongjing getting off the plane, Xiao Yunhai hurried to greet him. Xiao Hongjing nodded slightly. The two did not communicate too much. After all, they were at the airport. Soon, the long convoy left the airport. Dad, how is it? I saw on the news that the relationship between the two countries has been upgraded to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Before this, the relationship between Xinhan and Longhua was a comprehensive strategic partnership. Although there are two words difference, the meaning is different, which also means that the relationship has been further deepened. As for why it is an all-weather strategic partnership like Babayang, it is mainly because of the different strategic value. After all, Babayang has a unique geographical advantage that is not comparable to Xinhan. But now it is different. Xinhan, which produces oil, and Xinhan, which does not produce oil, have completely different values. Moreover, there are only 3 countries that have signed comprehensive strategic partnerships with Longhua at present, and there are 4 countries including Xinhan. Hearing his son's question, Xiao Hongjing smiled and said, You have also read the news. Well, as you think, Longhua invested $400 million and Xinhan invested $500 million to establish an oil refining and chemical company in Lanling. We account for 60% and Longhua accounts for 40%. In addition, the two sides will focus on in-depth economic cooperation. The two sides have canceled tariff barriers in many industries such as electronic products, agricultural products, and medical products. In addition, the two sides have implemented a one-month visa-free policy for business and tourism, which is conducive to the tourism and economic exchanges between the two countries. In addition, Longhua will also provide us with an airport. Well, the airport is in Lanling, mainly to facilitate the communication between the two countries. It is estimated that the investment in this airport will reach $260 million. In addition, a low-interest loan of $4 billion was granted. It's quite generous. It provided assistance to an airport and invested $260 million. It should be able to build a 4C level airport. It seems that the treatment is different after having oil. Xiao Yunhai smiled. I felt relieved. Since Longhua has invested, there is no need to worry about the interference of the Americans. Even if they do something, at most they will instigate the country or encourage neighboring countries such as the Philippines. There are only a few who dare to compete. Although the military strength of Xinhan is less than 70,000, its combat effectiveness is not comparable to that of the Philippines and Java. Its fighting spirit is not inferior to that of Annan, and its military equipment is not bad. Take fighter jets as an example. It is also one of the few countries in Southeast Asia that owns US F-16 fighter jets. Although the model is an old model, the number is not small, with a total of 26. In addition, there are 12 Nordic Gripen JAS-39 fighter jets, 7C, 130 Hercules transport aircraft. After the disintegration of the Soviet Union and the Bear, 12 Su, 27 fighter jets and 4 Il-76 transport aircraft were purchased from the Bear. Of course, Xinhan can't afford it with its national strength, so when purchasing these weapons and equipment, the royal family subsidizes a lot of money. The military strength of the Air Force can be said to be the first in Southeast Asia. Even Singapore and Siam can't catch up. The Navy is far behind. The Army is mainly equipped with British Chieftain main battle tanks, Mao's T-72 and Prussian Leopard 2 tanks. Among them, T-72 was purchased from the two Maos after the Cold War in order to expand the armored force. The main force is still the Chieftain main battle tank, which is a main battle tank developed by Britain and has 145. The reason why New Han can buy a lot of European and American weapons is largely because of the team during the Cold War. Secondly, the special nature of the establishment of New Han. The founding king married a British princess, which is largely the sister of the British Queen. This has created a natural close relationship between New Han and Britain. When the United States launched the Annan War, New Han firmly supported the United States. That's why it can buy a lot of European and American weapons. So, although New Han is a small country and its national strength is not very good, its military strength, except for the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, are all top-notch in Southeast Asia. Hearing his son's teasing, Xiao Hongjing smiled and said, I'm relieved that you can understand. Remember not to let your emotions get the better of you. What matters between countries is the interests. As long as you have enough chips in your hand, people will pay attention to you. So, if you want to gain the respect and attention of other countries, you have to work hard to improve your national strength. Fortunately, God blesses us, and the time has come. Oil has been discovered in Jeddah Bay, which will greatly enhance our national strength. Dad, since the exploration in Jeddah Bay was wrong before, I think we should organize another exploration and go to Brunei Bay for exploration. Brunei has discovered a lot of oil nearby. It makes no sense that we don't have it here. I suggest that we re-explore the sea area from Brunei Bay to Chang'an. If the exploration was wrong before, wouldn't we miss the opportunity to make a fortune in vain? Xiao Yunhai took the opportunity to push his father to restart the exploration. In this way, he can naturally discover the oil he had found in the sea area near Jiangdu County before. Well, you're right. We should restart the exploration. Xiao Hongjing nodded in agreement. Before this, he might not have had any hope. But after oil was discovered in Jeddah Bay, he felt lucky. What if it was like Jeddah Bay, where oil was not discovered due to equipment, technology, and personnel problems? After all, several oil fields with hundreds of millions of tons were discovered in nearby Boni, so there was no reason why there were none in Xinhan. If the most likely place to have oil in Xinhan is the sea area from Boni Bay to Chang'an, in his opinion. Besides, it won't cost much to re-explore. What's more, there is now the Jeddah Bay offshore oil field that brings hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. So Xiao Hongjing readily agreed to support Xiao Yunhai's proposal to re-explore. Read books every day during the National Day. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 18. According to the Ministry of Energy, my country has recently made a major discovery in the northern Jeddah Bay. It is reported that a giant oil field was discovered during the exploration. It is estimated that the reserves reach 1 billion tons. This major discovery will greatly help improve my country's energy structure. It is reported that New Han Royal Oil Company has reached a cooperation agreement with Longhua Petroleum Company. The two parties will jointly invest to build a large oil refinery in Lanling County and carry out in-depth cooperation around the petrochemical industry. On the third day after Xiao Hongjing returned to China, the news about the discovery of oil in Jeddah Bay was announced to the public at the instruction of the two. After all, it is impossible to conceal offshore mining from the outside world. In this case, it is better to announce it continuously. It's just that the oil reserves are announced to the public as 1 billion tons, mainly to avoid other countries' jealousy. 1 billion tons of oil are enough to make people jealous. What if it is announced that there are 3 billion tons of oil in Jeddah Bay? It is worth trillions of dollars. I am afraid that Java, the Philippines, and Malaysia will be jealous and want to seize it. The news spread quickly across the country through the official TV station. For a time, it caused a huge sensation in the country. Oh my God, that's great. 1 billion tons of oil. Isn't that going to make a fortune? If there is going to be a fortune, it's the royal family that's going to make a fortune. It has nothing to do with you. You can't say that. The royal family eats meat. We can drink soup. I heard from my relatives in Lanling that His Royal Highness plans to invest $1 billion in Bangui Island to build a tourist resort. Think about it. With the heavy investment of the royal family, won't there be a lot more job opportunities? That's right. No matter what, this is a good thing. Didn't you see it in the news? Longhua will invest more than $600 million in Lanling, building an airport, expanding the dock, and building an oil refinery, at least tens of thousands of jobs. Chang'an, the palace. Who are they? Xiao Yunhai saw a group of foreigners walking out of the conference hall and couldn't help showing curiosity. Then he walked into the conference room, pointed at the foreigners who had just walked out, and asked curiously, "Oh, they are from ExxonMobil, and they are looking for cooperation with us, saying that their refining technology is the best in the world." ExxonMobil? Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows slightly. This company is not small. It can be said to be the world's largest oil company. Behind it is the U.S. consortium. Xiao Yunhai was not surprised to hear that they were here to discuss cooperation. After all, he had expected that after the news came out, those international oil companies would definitely visit and seek cooperation. An oil field with a reserve of 1 billion tons is not a small number. If it is based on the peak of crude oil prices last year, 1 billion tons of oil reserves would be worth trillions of dollars. You refused? Of course, not to mention that we have agreed to cooperate with Longhua. Even if we haven't, Exxon's asking price is too high. After building a factory together, it is too greedy to ask for 70% of the price. Xiao Yunhai nodded slightly. He had guessed it before, otherwise, he would not have said that he would cooperate with Longhua at the beginning. Although the oil refining technology is not as good as that of the Americans, but the difference is not too big. In this case, it is natural to choose Longhua. After all, negotiating with Longhua can still take the initiative. Moreover, Longhua's demand for oil is growing day by day. Xinhan is close to Longhua. Cooperating with Xinhan will provide an additional channel, and this channel does not need to worry about being blocked like the Strait of Malacca. So as long as the leadership of Longhua is not confused, they will definitely be willing to cooperate with Xinhan. We refuse to cooperate with Exxon. I am afraid that the Americans will not easily reveal it and will definitely exert pressure. Dad, you should be mentally prepared for this. If necessary, you can contact Longhua for a maritime military exercise. In addition, to prevent the Americans from provoking the domestic people and to strengthen the support of the people for the royal family, my suggestion is to take out 10 billion Han yuan to subsidize adults over 18 years old, with a monthly salary of less than 1,500 Han yuan, with a one-time subsidy of 2,000 Han yuan, and for adults with a salary of more than 1,500 and less than 2,500 Han yuan, a subsidy of 1,000 Han yuan. 10 billion Han yuan? Xiao Hongjing frowned. Isn't this too much? 10 billion Han yuan, according to the current exchange rate, is about 2.86 billion US dollars. This is not a small number. The government's fiscal revenue last year was less than 12 billion US dollars. Xiao Yunhai explained, "Dad, we have to pay a wave of blood at this time. Since the outbreak of the economic crisis last year, the income of the lower-class people in the country has dropped sharply. Now there is such a big thing as the discovery of the oil field. If we don't take out money at this time to subsidize and appease, if it is instigated by external forces, it is very likely to cause riots. Besides, it's only 10 billion Han yuan. This amount of money is nothing. Think about it. An oil field can bring us at least 300 to 400 billion US dollars in revenue. Now all parties are jealous, and we must appease the people. Xiao Hongjing has no system, no plug-in, and is not a reborn person. Naturally, he is not as far-sighted as Xiao Yunhai in considering issues. To be precise, he is not as good as Xiao Yunhai in making money. 10 billion Han yuan is not a small number for Xiao Hongjing. But for Xiao Yunhai, 10 billion Han yuan, as long as he waits for weight loss drugs and breast augmentation drugs to be developed and put on the market, he can easily get 20 to 30 billion US dollars a year. Naturally, he doesn't care about 10 billion Han yuan. After thinking about it, Xiao Hongjing nodded and said, "You think farther and more comprehensively than your father. Let's do as you say. In the name of the royal family, 10 billion Han yuan will be distributed to subsidize the people." Seeing his father agreed, Xiao Yunhai's brows relaxed. Under Xiao Yunhai's strong push, the Royal Investment Bureau quickly allocated 10 billion Han yuan and handed it over to the Ministry of Social Welfare. After receiving the money, the Ministry of Social Welfare held a press conference as soon as possible. Many domestic official media and large internet media were invited to the scene. At the press conference, Social Welfare Minister Lin Jiamin announced, "In view of the difficult life of the people after the economic crisis, His Majesty the King recently donated 10 billion Han yuan to the Social Welfare Department, which will be used to improve people's livelihood. From the 1st of next month, adults with a monthly salary of less than 1,500 Han yuan can receive a one-time subsidy of 2,000 Han yuan. Adults with a monthly salary of more than 1,500 Han yuan and less than 2,500 Han yuan can receive a subsidy of 1,000 Han yuan. The deadline for collection is the end of next month. Please go to the Welfare Bureau of each county to collect it."
End.
Chapter 19. Monthly salary less than 1,500 Han yuan. A one-time subsidy of 2,000 Han yuan. Monthly salary 1,500 to 2,500 Han yuan. A one-time subsidy of 1,000 Han yuan. The news released by the Ministry of Social Welfare at the press conference quickly spread throughout the streets and alleys of the new Han Kingdom, causing widespread heated discussions. On average, it is equivalent to 1 month's salary. How can this not make the lower-class people happy? Free money. Countless eligible new Han people went to their respective regions and counties to receive royal subsidies. After receiving the money, many people praised the royal family. Although the subsidy is not particularly large, being able to take out 10 billion Han yuan to subsidize the lower-class people, just from this move, ordinary people have been grateful and praised Xiao Hongjing as a good king. After all, in addition to those high-welfare and high-income countries in the world that can provide such welfare benefits, how many developing countries can give money like this? The news spread to the internet of Longhua within 2 days. It also caused widespread heated discussions. 2,000 Han yuan subsidy? Does anyone know what the exchange rate between Han yuan and ours is? Go back upstairs. 1 Han yuan is almost equal to 2 yuan. 1 Han yuan is equal to 2 yuan? 2,000 Han yuan. Wouldn't that mean a subsidy of 4,000 yuan? K. My monthly salary is only 2,500 yuan. I'm so damn envious of the people of New Han, who can actually get paid. People are so annoying when compared to others. I work so hard to make 3,000 yuan a month, and then I can get 4,000 yuan just by lying down. I'm so damn envious. Is it possible? It must be fake. 10 billion? Almost 20 billion yuan. The royal family of New Han is willing to spend so much money? It must be fake. It's not fake. I'm working in New Han now. I'm a friend of Xin Han, went to the social welfare department in the morning and really received 2,000 yuan. Damn, brother. You work at Xin Han? How is it? Does the job there make money? Not bad. The salary is about 50% higher than in China. Life here is quite comfortable. Prices are lower than in China, but seafood is really cheap. A 2-gene lobster costs only more than 70 yuan. Damn, so cheap? This is too cheap. Here, 1 gene costs more than 100 yuan, and it's not easy to buy. Brother, I want to work at Xin Han. Do you have any channels to introduce me? Yes, big brother. Take me with you. I can cook and have worked on construction sites. The fact that the royal family of Xin Han gave money to the people became completely popular on the internet of Longhua. It was also reported that the price of seafood in Xin Han was particularly cheap, which made many people want to travel to Xinhan, eat a few more meals of seafood, and earn back the money for the air ticket. Especially after the government announced the one-month visa-free policy for tourism, business, and family visits, many people in Longwa wanted to travel to Xinhan. Especially for some people who don't speak English, it is very attractive. Xiao Yunhai in Xinhan naturally didn't know that he led the money distribution and stimulated many people in Longwa to travel to Xinhan. At this time, he was in Building 5 of the former Honglong Chang'an Center, now Xinhan Chang'an Center, which is the tallest building, to visit the weight loss drug developed by the Biomedical Research Institute. Yes, after a month, after knowing the formula and pharmaceutical method, the institute successfully developed the weight loss drug awarded by the system after many experiments. Looking at the capsule in his hand, Xiao Yunhai asked, "How is the effect? Has it been tested on humans?" Replying to Your Highness, in the clinical trial we found more than a dozen testers. After taking this weight loss drug, it is indeed effective, and each person loses 0.5 kgs per day on average. The higher the obesity index, the better the effect. There is a patient who has a lot of body fat because of long-term drinking of cola and eating fried foods. After taking it, he lost 0.8 kgs on the first day, 0.7 kgs on the second day, and successfully lost 5 kgs after taking it for a week. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Does this drug have any side effects? It is impossible to say that there are no side effects. After taking it, it will increase the pressure on liver function. In addition, some people's heartbeats will speed up a lot, but generally speaking, this drug is not toxic. Usually, most of the cases encountered are diarrhea. Hearing that it will increase the pressure on liver function, Xiao Yunhai was not surprised. Losing weight will inevitably increase the burden on liver function. After all, liver function has detoxification, and diet pills will speed up metabolism. As for diarrhea, it doesn't have much impact. Taking medicine to lose weight must excrete fat. In addition, we have studied an ointment that can be applied to fat parts to speed up fat burning. When combined with oral medicine, the effect will be better. Reaching out to take the medicine bottle handed over by Zhao Yuanding, Xiao Yunhai opened it and smelled it. There was a faint floral scent. Putting down the medicine bottle in his hand, Xiao Yunhai said, "I just want to ask, will oral medicine kill people?" Your Highness, as long as you follow the instructions and contraindications, there will be absolutely no deaths. Zhao Yuanting said firmly. Xiao Yunhai nodded. As long as no one dies, it's fine. Of course, it is impossible to completely prevent death. There is no medicine in the world that can guarantee that no one will die after taking it. After all, not every patient is so obedient. Just look at the doctor's advice. How is the breast augmentation drug progressing? Xiao Yunhai asked about another drug. The market for weight loss drugs is large, and breast augmentation drugs are not much smaller. Moreover, for women, this drug is very attractive. As long as it works, people will buy it even if it is sold for 10,000 yuan a bottle, and there are many people who buy it. After all, many people make a living by looking at their capital. As long as it is big enough, it can attract people. And this is natural and has not been operated on. It is still in clinical trials. The effect of this drug is not as fast as that of weight loss drugs. Xiao Yunhai nodded. He plans to launch weight loss drugs first, and he does not plan to apply for a patent. The generic drugs of India are too powerful. In addition, if they do not apply for a patent, they do not need to publish the formula. Of course, the most important thing in pharmaceutical manufacturing is the proportion and the production process. Read books every day during the National Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 20. After leaving the institute, telling Lin Na and the others not to follow him, he went upstairs for a walk. After seeing that there was no one behind him, Xiao Yunhai opened the talent panel of the system. He planned to set up a pharmaceutical company to sell the drugs developed by the institute. Whether it is weight loss drugs or breast augmentation drugs, the market here is very large. Hundreds of billions or US dollars. With such a large market and such good results, it is necessary to find an honest and reliable person to produce. Especially in the production link, it must be replaced by his own talents. And no one is more loyal to him than the talents recruited by the system. Recruit 3 elite talents in business management, recruit 10 marketing talents, and recruit 87 talents in warehousing and production line management. Ding! Talent recruitment is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 100 talents. The next second, there was a wave of light and shadow, and there were 100 more people in the corridor in front of Xiao Yunhai. After greeting and getting to know everyone, Xiao Yunhai appointed an elite talent in business management named Lu Lin as the CEO of Jimin Pharmaceutical Company. The so-called Jimin Pharmaceutical Company is the name he gave to the pharmaceutical company. He had already asked Lin not to register the company in advance. The registered capital is 100 million Han yuan. He took out his mobile phone and called Lin not to ask her to come upstairs. Then, Xiao Yunhai introduced Lu Lin to her and told her that Lu Lin's level would be the same as Zhao Yuaning and Han Peng in the future, and she would be the one to connect with them. After explaining, Xiao Yunhai took Lu Lin to the research institute. Director Zhao, this is Lu Lin, CEO of Jimin Pharmaceutical Company. In the future, the drug studied by the research institute will be produced by his company, and you will be responsible for research and development. Each of you will perform your duties. Hearing that the man in the white jacket in front of him was his future partner, Lu Lin smiled and took the initiative to extend his hand to say hello. Hello, Director Zhao. Please help me in the future. Mr. Lu is too polite. We are all doing things for His Highness. You don't have to be polite. Zhao Yuanting responded with a smile. That's right. But I'll have to trouble Director Zhao more in the future. Seeing the two people being polite to each other, Xiao Yunhai raised his lips slightly and said with a smile, You two will have plenty of time to communicate in the future. Director Zhao, you hand over the production process and formula related to weight loss pills to Lu Lin. Lu Lin, please make a list as soon as possible. If you need to buy any materials or pharmaceutical equipment, you can ask Lin Na. She will be responsible for solving the problem. Yes, Lu Lin nodded in response. Seeing that the matter was almost settled, Xiao Yunhai did not stay for too long. Came to the Dream Chaser film and television company upstairs and asked about the production progress of the animated film, White Snake E-Origin. When he learned that the finished product would be available in more than a month, Xiao Yunhai smiled with satisfaction. Accompanied by Han Peng, Xiao Yunhai inspected the animation production process. It was completely different from his imagination of 3D modeling and directly adopted the future top AI system. In less than a minute, you can make a desired model. Traditional 3D Max and Maya modeling often takes several days, or even half a month. You also need to map, which is very inefficient. Unlike AI, you can input key characters and complete scene mapping and character mapping in a few seconds. As for actions, it uses future human motion capture equipment and software. In short, the software and hardware owned by Dream Chaser can be said to be decades ahead of this era. Over at Oasis Investment, please contact Li Yi and ask how the acquisition of Longhua Entertainment website is going. Have the copyrights of the 2 series of Zhu Xian and Tomb Raiders been obtained? Sitting on the way back to the palace, Xiao Yunhai, who was taking a nap with his eyes closed, suddenly spoke. I'll ask right away. Hearing the voice, Lin Na, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, immediately took out her mobile phone from her small bag and quickly called Li Yi. Hello, Mr. Li, this is Lin Na. May I ask? Okay, I got it. I will report to Your Highness immediately. After hanging up the phone, Lin Na turned her head and said to Xiao Yunhai, who was resting with his eyes closed, Your Highness, Mr. Li said that the full copyrights of the 2 series of Zhu Xian and Tomb Raiders have been acquired, and the Jingjiang website has also been acquired. We are currently talking with Shengda and are in the final negotiations. Mr. Li said that it will be soon, and the negotiations are almost done. After hearing that the full copyrights of Zhu Xian and Tomb Raider series, Ghost Blowing Light plus Tomb Raider's Notes, have been acquired, Xiao Yunhai smiled faintly. The tourism strategy can be carried out. Write it down. Publish the bidding information to the public and say that Oasis will invest $1 billion in Bangui Island to build the new Phuket Island and Bali Island, and look for global architects and contractors. Second, contact Disney to discuss cooperation and build Disneyland in Chang'an. Although Disneyland is nothing special in his opinion, its IP is very successful, and children and young people like to go to Disneyland. In the past, it was reported that it was hard to get a ticket to the Disney theme park in Shanghai, and there were scalpers. Since Xinhan wants to vigorously develop the tourism industry, introducing Disney theme parks is also a means to enhance its appeal. After all, there is no Disney theme park in Southeast Asia at present. In a word, if there is no historical heritage, then artificial attractions will be used. Anyway, the system will return the points after spending money. Moreover, there are 2 major industries, oil and medicine, which are enough to support his strategic conception with investment. Third, you communicate with Mr. Lin, who is chasing dreams, to create a series of live-action movies around the IP of Zhu Xian, with high standards, especially special effects. I need it to be a hit. If there are no suitable actors, you can hold a global audition and send letters to major performing arts companies in Longhua. First, shoot the series of movies, and when the Zhu Xian theme park is built, you can market it and attract tourists. Movies, TV series, animations, etc. include peripheral products. Realize the phenomenon of one IP eating more. If you don't know how to operate an IP, follow the Disney model. You will always be able to do it. Lin Na took out the small notebook and pen she carried with her and quickly wrote down what Xiao Yunhai said.
End.
Chapter 21. 2 days later. It was the weekly cabinet meeting. This time, Xiao Yunhai also attended. After listening to the reports from various departments, Xiao Hongjing turned his attention to his eldest son. Do you have anything to say? Yes. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Then go ahead. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai glanced at the more than 20 people in the conference room and said, Today I will talk about infrastructure and tourism. I have already said that developing the tourism industry is one of the important strategies in the next few years. We have thousands of islands in Xinhan, and the seascape resources are very rich. However, the annual tourism consumption is less than 500 million Han yuan, and more than 90% of them are domestic tourists. This is completely different from the rich tourism resources we have. The annual tourism income of Phuket alone exceeds the tourism income of our entire Xinhan country. This is very abnormal. During this period, I visited many places for field investigations. I found a very important problem. That is, the infrastructure is very backward. This has greatly lagged behind the development of our tourism industry. Take Bangui Island as an example. I have actually visited this island. The seawater is clear, the sand on the beach is fine, and it is rare white sand. It is very suitable for the development of tourism. However, such an island does not even have an airport. Secondly, there are only 2 ferries a day from Lanling and Nanyang. There is even a power shortage on the island. There is not even a decent shopping mall or large supermarket. May I ask why tourists come under such conditions? After a pause, his eyes swept over the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Transportation, the Minister of Energy, and others one by one, and they all lowered their heads in guilt. Dare not look directly at Xiao Yunhai's eyes. Xiao Yunhai retracted his scrutiny and continued. Whether it is tourism or economic development, improving infrastructure is a prerequisite. Ministry of Transportation. The Minister of Transportation, whose name was called, hurriedly sat up straight, looking like he was listening to instructions. Bangui Island wants to develop tourism. I hope that before attracting investment, the airport, the road network around the island, and the wharf can be built first. Is there any problem? Hearing this, the Minister of Transportation complained, Your Highness, the construction of the airport, the wharf, and the road network around the island requires more than 10 billion or 20 billion. Even if the Ministry of Transportation is sold, it can't raise so much money. How much can the Ministry of Transportation raise on its own? Xiao Yunhai asked with a frown. Less than 200 million. So little? Your Highness, the Ministry of Transportation is indeed short of funds at present. It needs to build a new tanker port in Lanling, and Xuanyang County in Guangling Province needs to build an airport and Haidong Highway. These projects occupy a lot of funds. Xiao Yunhai turned his eyes to the Minister of Finance. How much can the Ministry of Finance come up with? Seeing Xiao Yunhai looking at him, the Minister of Finance's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, it was as he expected. Bitterness appeared on his face. Your Highness, the situation at the Ministry of Finance is also very tense. It really can't come up with extra money. Xiao Yunhai frowned, thinking that the current financial resources of Xinhan really cannot afford extra money. After all, the annual fiscal revenue is only several hundred billion Han yuan. A quarter of the several hundred billion has to be used for military expenditure. The remaining 3/4 are used for civil servant salaries, social security, medical care, etc., and there is really not much money that can be used for infrastructure. Otherwise, the infrastructure of Xinhan would not be so bad. However, he does not plan to pay for it himself. He does not plan to spend the royal family's money. The main purpose is to build infrastructure, and the rate of return is too low. The government has to pay for this money. The royal family can subsidize it. The previous donation of 10 billion Han yuan was mainly to stabilize the people's hearts and improve the royal family's favorability in the hearts of the people, which is different in nature. Seeing his son frowning, Xiao Hongjing was about to speak to ease the tense atmosphere in the meeting room. Then he heard his eldest son say, Since there is no money, then borrow it. When your majesty went to Longwa before, didn't you reach a low-interest loan? I think you can borrow money from Longwa. They hold a large amount of US dollar foreign exchange. Borrow 20 billion US dollars from them to improve the national roads, electricity, communication networks, and other infrastructure. Xiao Yunhai's words stunned everyone in the meeting room. Borrow money? or borrow 20 billion US dollars. Although borrowing money from other countries is not uncommon in the international community, this amount is a bit too big. 20 billion US dollars. Xinhan's annual fiscal revenue is only more than 11 billion US dollars. It means that it will take 2 years of fiscal revenue, and you have to go without food and drink. Will Longwa agree to borrow so much money? Yes, I don't think it's necessary to build so much infrastructure so quickly. It should be done step by step. Xiao Hongjing frowned. Just as he was about to help his son calm down, he heard Xiao Yunhai knocking on the table. Dong, dong, dong. The sound rang out in the conference room. The originally controversial conference room suddenly became quiet. Looking at the more than 20 pairs of eyes looking over, Xiao Yunhai said in a deep voice, I know what you are worried about. You are worried that Longwa is unwilling to lend, and you are worried that you can't pay it back after borrowing. But I remind you, don't forget Jeddah Bey. After discussing with His Majesty the King, I decided to transfer 20% of the shares of New Han Royal Oil Company to the government at a price of 1 Han Yuan to support national development. As soon as these words came out, the cabinet members all looked at King Xiao Hongjing. New Han Royal Oil Company is 100% owned by the royal family. Previously, it was mainly importing oil and operating gas stations. After the discovery of oil, according to the law, except for any private property, the remaining land and resources belong to the royal family. Now the royal family is willing to give out 20% of the shares. If it was before, it would not move everyone, but it is different now. Now that oil has been discovered, 1 billion tons, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. 20%, which means it is worth at least 100 billion US dollars. With this value, there is no need to worry about not being able to repay the loan. And Longwa will not worry that the Xinhan government will not be able to repay the loan. Seeing everyone looking at him, Xiao Hongjing smiled and said, The decision of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is my decision. 20% of the shares will be used to support national development. Selling 20% of the shares to the government at a price of 1 yuan was also a decision made by Xiao Yunhai and him last night after they communicated. The core of the royal family's wealth is based on the right to rule this country. Without the right to rule, all these lands and resources are gone. Taking out 20% of the shares, first, will reduce the public's dissatisfaction with the royal family's monopoly of oil resources. Second, after the government has money, it can also promote public welfare benefits. Third, when the government has money, it can also strengthen the construction of the army. When the combat effectiveness of the army is improved, there is no need to worry about other countries coveting it. On the contrary, the result of eating alone is likely to be nothing. After getting a definite answer from Xiao Hongjing, the cabinet members showed joy and stood up to bow to Xiao Hongjing and Xiao Yunhai. After all, not everyone has the courage to make such a decision. You know, this is a fortune of hundreds of billions of dollars.
And
Chapter 22. Dragon Country. Yinjing. Cabinet General Office. Xian Han Country is asking us to borrow money? An old man with a solemn and majestic demeanor frowned after hearing the report from the middle-aged man in front of him. Didn't they just discover oil? They are rich. Why are they asking us to borrow money? If the royal family of Xian Han borrowed money, he would agree immediately without blinking. But after learning about the laws and social system of Xian Han, he realized that the Xian Han government was just a framework, and its source of income was taxes. It didn't even have land. To build a road, it had to buy land from the royal family and private individuals. Such a system was too incredible for the old man. It was more exploitative than the feudal dynasty. No, it was not justifiable to use exploitation. They protected private property very well. As long as you didn't violate relevant laws or commit major crimes, you didn't have to worry about your private property being confiscated. It was probably because of this that the people of Xian Han didn't rebel.
yes,
The middle-aged man nodded. It is reported that New Han intends to comprehensively improve their infrastructure and borrow 20 billion US dollars from us to build roads, airports, docks, and other infrastructure. Moreover, it is said that the royal family sold 20% of the shares of New Han Royal Oil Company to their government for $1. Oh! The old man showed surprise on his face. Then he smiled and nodded. This New Han royal family is also courageous and capable. They can give up such a big interest. It is worth increasing their efforts to win over. The middle-aged man smiled and echoed, Mr. Lin, you are right. This New Han has been making big moves in recent months. It seems that it has the idea of vigorously developing its own economy. According to news, their crown prince attaches great importance to the tourism industry and is determined to vigorously promote the development of the tourism industry. It seems that he intends to compete with Siam and Java for people. Their crown prince is the little guy who studied abroad at Yin University? Yes, Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin nodded. It seems that the changes in New Han in the past few months should be related to this crown prince. My guess is also. The middle-aged man echoed. Old Lin smiled and said, young people all want to make a career and be enterprising, just like the crown prince of the Middle East. Well, since they have come to us, we must show some appreciation. So, you departments should come up with the rules and regulations, forget about the interest, and lend them money for 5 years in the form of interest-free loans. Just think of it as making friends with this future king. 20 billion US dollars is not a lot for Longhua, which has more than 1 trillion US dollars in foreign exchange. As for interest-free, it is nothing. They spend tens of billions of US dollars on foreign aid to Africa every year. Most of them are free aid. Yes, the middle-aged man nodded in agreement. 2 days later, Your Highness, Longhua has agreed to our loan request, and it is interest-free. The Minister of Finance ran to Xiao Yunhai's office excitedly and reported. Oh, really? That's great. Xiao Yunhai was also overjoyed to hear that there was no interest. The interest of 20 billion US dollars is not a small number, and it is a 5-year loan. This means that at least 20 to 30 billion US dollars in interest has been exempted for them. After the money arrives, according to the previous plan, 10 billion US dollars will be used to improve infrastructure, improve the transportation network, and build airports such as Bangji and Xuanyang.
Yes.
The Minister of Finance nodded in agreement. After that, they chatted for a while before the Minister of Finance left. After a while, Xiao Yunhai picked up the phone in front of him and called Lin Na to announce the bidding for Bangji Island. The Ministry of Transportation also announced the next day that it would invest in the construction of an airport and a ring road around Bangji Island. After the royal family and the Ministry of Transportation announced that they would invest heavily in Bangji Island, people outside instantly realized that Bangji Island would usher in great development and had great potential in the future. Many people began to plan to open restaurants in Bangji Island, and some overseas companies. For example, travel companies and real estate companies also began to pay attention to Xinhan. Then they began to study the advantages of Xinhan in developing the tourism industry. They definitely didn't care before. However, as New Han announced the discovery of oil, and the preliminary survey showed that it was 1 billion tons, it is foreseeable that New Han's economy will achieve substantial growth in the next few years. Coupled with the wealthy royal family, this has greatly increased the interest of foreign capital in New Han. After receiving the news, major architectural design firms sent personnel to contact a newly established Bangji Island Development Company, Limited. The company is an independent company under Oasis Investment Company, which is Xiao Yunhai's personal company. Understand the needs, and then start designing a plan. Just as the outside world was buzzing, Xiao Yunhai received a call. It was from Lu Tianxian. You arrived in Chang'an? Xiao Yunhai was a little surprised. Why didn't you tell me in advance so that I could make arrangements? I just want to give you a surprise. Lu Tianxian's coquettish voice came from the phone. The relationship between the two has been heating up rapidly since the last ice-breaking. Although they didn't meet, they called each other a lot. Lu Shishir is the same, but this girl doesn't know his true identity yet. Where are you now? Are you at the airport? Yes, my mother and I are at the airport. Annie too. Okay, wait. I'll arrange someone to pick you up right away. I wanted to say your mother is here too, but after thinking about it, I told Lu Xiaoli last time, so it's normal for her to come together. Okay, after hanging up the phone, Xiao Yunhai immediately called Lin Na and told her, go to the airport to pick up 2 people, one of whom is Lu Tianxian. After picking them up, arrange for them to stay in the hotel first, and then come back to report to me. Lin Na on the other end of the phone was stunned for a moment, and after reacting, she nodded and agreed without asking any more questions. Go. Yes, Your Highness. After hanging up the phone, Lin Na quickly got up and left her office, and then mobilized 3 cars to rush to the airport. Airport. Lu Tianxian and her daughter were standing at the airport exit waiting. Both women came here for the first time and were full of curiosity about this strange country. Mom, the people of Xinhan are similar to those in the mainland, and they also speak Mandarin. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoli smiled and said, didn't I tell you that this country was also founded by Chinese, so they naturally speak Mandarin? Oh, it's good. There is no language communication barrier. Hello, are you Miss Louis Fei? Just as the two stood on the side of the road, waiting for Xiao Yunhai's people to pick them up, 3 sweet-looking women came forward with excitement. Who are you? We are your fans. You played Zhaolinger, Wang Yuyan, and Zilong knew so well. Can you sign for us? As she said, She took out a pen and paper from her bag and looked at Lu Tianxian with hope. Lu Tianxian was also surprised. She didn't expect that this country also had her fans. After a brief absence, she took off her sunglasses with a gentle look and reached out to take the pen handed over by the other party. Where should I sign? Here is fine. The woman pointed excitedly at a place in the notebook. Lu Tianxian signed her name quickly. Okay. Ah, thank you. The woman thanked happily, and the other two women on the side screamed excitedly. However, they did not bring a notebook and finally let Lu Tianxian sign on their arm. Maybe several people were excited and screaming. It attracted many people's attention. Many people recognized Lu Tianxian. After all, many TV series and movies in Longhua have been shown in Xinhan. Look, it's Louis Fei. Where? Right there. Wow, it's really her. Go and get her autograph. Oh my God, she's even prettier in person than on TV. In a moment, hundreds of people rushed over. The two bodyguards who had been secretly protecting the Lu family mother and daughter saw this situation and hurried forward to protect them. Read books every day during the 11th. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 23. When Lin Na took a few palace guards and took 3 Mercedes-Benz cars to the airport, she saw Lu Tianxian surrounded by the crowd. Lu Tianxian, the popular female star in Longhua, Lin Na certainly knew her. Turning around, she ordered a palace guard, go to the airport police station immediately, mobilize people and ask them to disperse these people.
Yes.
The palace guard nodded and then hurried to find the airport police station. In Xinhan, airports, large bus stations, and ports will be equipped with a police station to handle emergencies. They are mainly police officers, and there will also be a permanent anti-terrorism special task force. At this moment, the director of the police station was leisurely brewing tea, turning on the computer, and watching a basketball game. Dong dong. Just then, a hurried knock on the door interrupted him. Who is it? The director was a little unhappy. Frowning, he asked outside. Director, it's me. I have an urgent matter. Hearing the urgent matter, the director said, come in. Click. After the door opened, a man with a crew cut walked in quickly. What's the matter? The director asked. Director, there is a man outside. He is a palace guard. He asked us to gather police forces and go to the airport with him to do something. The man with a crew cut quickly explained the matter. Palace guard? The director was stunned for a moment, then reacted and stood up from the chair. He said anxiously, where is the person? Where is the person? Outside. Hearing this, the director hurriedly walked outside. 3 minutes later, don't worry, I will do it. Nodding and bowing, he handed the ID photo to the other party with a respectful look, and then the director shouted to his subordinates, pass my order. Everyone put down the work at hand and follow me immediately. No, follow this special envoy. Don't look at her as just a palace guard, whose status is not as high as his, but she can often contact important people, which is something he, the director of the police station, can't compare with. A moment later, more than a dozen people in police uniforms in the police station followed the palace guards to the airport entrance and exit. Secretary Lin, they are the police from the airport police station. The palace guards brought them to Lin Na. Lin Na heard the words, swept her eyes over the people in the police station, and smiled. Everyone, please. No trouble. This is what we should do. The director said hurriedly. I wondered what the identity of the woman in front of me was, who could make the palace guards feel like they were seeing their boss. Well, let's get started.
Yes.
The director nodded in response, and then rushed towards the crowd with his people. On the way, the palace guard had already told the story. Disperse. Don't gather. With the strong intervention of the police, the young people who were scrambling to see their idols or get their idols' autographs were finally dispersed. Lu Tianxian and her daughter also breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, a 30-year-old, fashionable and capable woman came over. Hello, Miss Lu. I'm here to pick you up. Please follow me. This is not a place to talk. Hearing this, Lu Tianxian looked at the other party and saw that these policemen were trying to please the woman in front of them. Combined with Xiao Yunhai's words, she guessed that the person in front of her should be the one Xiao Yunhai arranged to pick her up. Smiling and nodding, Mom, let's go. What Lu Tianxian could think of, Lu Shaoli could naturally think of. The two women followed Lin Na into the car, and then a group of palace guards also got into the car and drove away from the scene. There was no communication along the way. The mother and daughter didn't know what to say. Soon, the convoy drove into a 5-star luxury hotel. It is called Chengel Hotel, and was built in the early 1990s. It is also owned by the royal family. The hotel is also used to receive important guests, including some foreign guests who come to Xinhan. You too. It's just your room cards. Seeing the room cards in her hand, Lu Tianxian couldn't help asking, where is he? Lin Na had guessed that the woman in front of her should have an affair with her own prince, but she was really good-looking. Hearing Lu Tianxian's inquiry, Lin Na smiled and said, His Highness has important things to deal with recently, so I asked you to arrange for you to stay here. Then, when will he be done? I don't know about that. Miss Lu has His Highness's phone number. You can call and ask, but I suggest calling at night. His Highness is very busy during the day. As she said, as if she thought of something, Lin Na took out a business card from her bag and handed it to Lu Tianxian. This is my business card. My surname is Lin, my name is Lin Na, and I am His Highness's secretary. Miss Lu, if you encounter any problems during your stay in Xinhan, you can call the number above. Looking at the business card handed over, Lu Tianxian felt a little disappointed. I came here with great joy, but in the end I couldn't see anyone. What a gap. Seeming that her daughter was in a bad mood, Lu Xiaoli comforted Lin Na after she left. Don't think too much. He is the crown prince of a country. He must have a lot of things to deal with. When he is done, he will definitely come to see you. Lu Tianxian understood it well, but the gap was too big, and she was in a bad mood for a while. The palace. Xiao Yunhai's palace. Your Highness, Miss Lu and the others have been arranged at Changel Hotel. Well, thank you for your hard work and let you run a trip. Lin Na smiled and said, It is my honor to serve your Highness. Well, Xiao Yunhai looked up. You go down and rest first. I will call you if there is anything.
Yes.
Lin Na nodded in response, then turned around and left the office, closing the door casually. Xiao Yunhai slowly stood up and stretched his sore muscles. The reason why he didn't bring Lu Tianxian into the palace was actually because he was hesitating. After all, bringing her into the palace would be different. Besides, he is only 22 years old now, and he has no intention of getting married, even if according to the laws of Xinhan, he can marry several people. In the evening, Xiao Yunhai came to Changel Hotel. Then he came to the room where Lu Tianxian lived and knocked on the door. Inside the room, Lu Tianxian heard the knock on the door. Through the cat's eye, he saw Xiao Yunhai outside the door and opened the door with a look of surprise. Then hugged someone. You are finally here. I thought you didn't want to see me. I am going back to Yinjing tomorrow. Reaching out to hug Lu Tianxian's soft and fragrant body, he heard what the other party said and laughed. Nonsense, how could I not see you? Mainly because I am too busy during this period of time. And now I come to see you as soon as I finish my work. Cici, who is it? Lu Xiaoli walked out of the room, and then saw Xiao Yunhai outside the door at a glance. Yes, Xiao. It's the prince who's here. Seeing Lu Xiaoli, who was a little flustered and didn't know what to call her, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, Auntie is not a new Han Chinese, so there's no need to call me your highness. Just call me Xiaohai as before. That's okay. Lu Xiaoli pretended to be embarrassed, but she was happy in her heart. In her opinion, this was a sign of intimacy. You guys chat. I'll go back to my room first. Lu Xiaoli knew that the two of them had a lot to talk about, and they might even sleep together. In her heart, she just wanted her daughter to get close to Xiao Yunhai, and it would be best if she could get pregnant, so that it would be a done deal. So, whenever there was a chance, she would help them get together. Seeing Lu Xiaoli leave on her own initiative, Xiao Yunhai nodded secretly in his heart. As expected of an adult in his teens, he knew how to read people's expressions. Without Lu Xiaoli, Xiao Yunhai naturally relaxed a lot, and hugged Lu Tianxian's willow waist and said, Cici, let's go into the room and chat. Lu Tianxian responded shyly. As soon as he entered the room, someone pushed Xiao Yunhai against the wall without waiting for him to take the initiative. Good guy. Is this still the innocent and pure Xiao Longnu on the screen? There is a contrast no matter how you look at it. Have fun reading every day during the National Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points.
End.
Chapter 24. That night, Xiao Yunhai went to bed very late. A long marriage is better than a new marriage, not to mention that it has been almost 2 months. Looking at Lu Tianxian, who was sleeping soundly, Xiao Yunhai yawned, turned off the lights in the room, and fell asleep with Lu Tianxian in his arms. However, what he didn't know was that someone in the next room couldn't sleep or was tossing and turning. Until there was no movement in the next room, Lu Xiaoli let out a long sigh. Looking at the time, it was 3:30 in the morning. Calculating the time, I'm afraid it's been 5 or 6 hours. Shaking his head, he wondered in his heart how his daughter could stand it. When he thought of that scene, A spring gushed out of the dry stream and flowed out slowly. The next second, Lu Xiaoli trembled all over and quickly dispelled her reverie, while secretly scolding herself for being shameless, and how could she think of those things? It's just that people sometimes can't control their thoughts at all. It's just like those drug addicts. One second he said he wouldn't touch the laundry detergent, but the next second he couldn't stand it. The next day, in the morning, the sun is shining. Lu Tianxian, who has been nourished by love, exudes a charming look on her face. What's going on? Why hasn't Mom gotten up yet? In the past, she woke up before 8 o'clock. Seeing that no one responded to several messages, Lu Tianxian asked in confusion. Maybe it's the first time for Annie to come here, and she's not used to it. Xiao Yunhai said casually. After all, Xinhan is a tropical country with a hot climate. As he said, Lu Xiaoli was indeed not used to living here, but it was not because of the hot weather, but because the two of them made too much noise last night, so she couldn't sleep. I couldn't help myself. Really? Lu Tianxian didn't think much about it. Just as the two of them were talking and laughing while eating breakfast, Lu Xiaoli in the room also woke up from her sleep. After waking up, I felt a little uncomfortable. Reached out and touched it. It was slippery and a little sticky. When I took my hand and looked at it, Lu Xiaoli's memory instantly emerged in my mind. The old face blushed. He got up and rushed into the bathroom. The next few days, Xiao Yunhai took time out to accompany Lu Tianxian and her daughter to travel in Xinhan, went to Mount Kinabalu, watched this high mountain in the tropics that also snows, and personally took the two to Bangji Island, which he was going to spend a lot of money to build. After learning that Lu Tianxian had no more movies to shoot next, Xiao Yunhai remembered the previous launch of the Zhu Xian movie IP. Cici, I have a project here. Do you want to try it? Project? Lu Tianxian was stunned for a moment and smiled disapprovingly. You also opened a film company? Well, I can say that I have a film and television company under my name, called Dream Chaser Film and Television, which mainly does animation and IP incubation, but recently acquired the copyright of some Longhua online novels. Well, you should have heard of the novel Zhu Xian? Zhu Xian? Lu Tianxian nodded and said, I've heard of it. I've also read this novel. You've also read it? Xiao Yunhai was a little surprised.
Yes.
Lu Tianxian nodded. Before, a game company was going to ask me to be the spokesperson. I went to see it at that time, but later we didn't reach an agreement, so I endorsed another game of theirs. Xiao Yunhai understood and realized that this company was the perfect company of Longhua. Well, the novel Zhu Xian, except for the game copyright, has been bought by my company. Recently, we plan to shoot a series of movies like Hollywood. I think you are quite suitable to play Lu Sueki. If you're interested, I will let Dream Chaser contact you. It was not a sudden decision to let Lu Tianxian play Lu Sueki. In his previous life, he had read relevant news reports on the internet. When it was reported that the Zhu Xian TV series was going to be filmed, many people thought that Lu Tianxian was suitable for the role of Lu Sueki. The reason was that Lu Tianxian had played a similar role, Little Dragon Girl, and she was beautiful, so naturally many people chose her. Xiao Yunhai wants to build the IP of Zhu Xian and then build a theme park. Naturally, he hopes that the bigger the momentum, the better. After all, the outside world pays attention to it and the IP is hyped up, and then people will come to visit the theme park or sell peripherals. Isn't this how Hollywood and the island countries play it? Lu Tianxian was stunned when she heard that Xiao Yunhai really had a film company. Obviously, she didn't expect that Xiao Yunhai, as the crown prince, would invest in movies. How many movies will you shoot in this series? How much do you plan to invest? I don't know how many movies you will shoot. It depends on the effect, but at least there will be 3 to 5 movies. As for the investment, there is no upper limit, and $1 billion is possible. Don't worry, this series of movies are all made with heavy money, and the special effects team is made by the world's top special effects team. The movies he invested in must be fine products. Either don't do it, or do it well. What's more, he also wants to build a theme park to attract tourists, so naturally he has to build it in the direction of classics. Hearing that Xiao Yunhai is going to invest $1 billion, Lu Tianxian opened her cherry mouth wide, as if she was shocked. You know, apart from Hollywood, domestic investment of over 100 million yuan, not US dollars, is already considered a big production. It is completely different from Xiao Yunhai's investment. Swallowing his saliva, Lu Tianxian whispered, investing so much? Aren't you worried about losing money? It doesn't matter whether the movie loses money or not, as long as it can attract tourists. Tourists? Yes, I plan to build a Zhu Xian IP theme park in Xinhan. And the tomb robbing series. Well, in addition to this, There will be some tropical jungle theme, underwater adventure theme parks in the future. Lu Tianxian was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Investing so much in making a movie just to attract tourists? Xiao Yunhai didn't explain too much. He really didn't care whether the movie investment lost money or not. Anyway, the system had points rewards. What he cared about was to increase the income of the people. Building so many theme parks and attracting a large number of tourists would inevitably drive the development of the service industry. In this way, the income of many ordinary people can increase significantly. It can not only enrich the people's income, gain points, and the people's support for the royal family, but also make money. It can be said to be a multi-pronged thing. On one side, Lu Xiaoli, who had not said a word, saw her daughter standing there stupidly and couldn't help but take the initiative to say, "Xiaohai, Auntie agreed to this matter on behalf of Cici. Thank you for your trouble." Although Lu Xiaoli hopes to marry into the royal family of Xinhan, she will not miss this opportunity to increase her daughter's popularity and fame. In the final analysis, marriage is a transaction. The more capital you have, the less likely you are to become a man's vassal in the relationship between men and women. Xiao Yunhai took a deep look at Lu Xiaoli, smiled and nodded, then it settled. Later, I'll let the people from the dream-chasing side come to communicate with you. Let's go, it's getting late. It's time to go back to the city. Okay.
End.
Chapter 25. After Lu Tianxian contacted the Dream Chaser Film Company, she happily played the role of Lu Sueki in 3 dramas, which means that Zhu Xian is expected to be filmed in 3 series of movies. Xiao Yunhai did not intervene in how to shoot or how to do it. Anyway, he first transferred $200 million from Oasis Company to the account of Dream Chaser Film Company. The time came to the end of October. The framework and factory equipment of Jimin Pharmaceutical Company have also been in place, and production is carried out according to the pharmaceutical process and formula given by the Research Institute. Xiao Yunhai, who learned about the situation, asked it to submit to the Food and Drug Administration. Under Xiao Yunhai's instructions, it was soon ordered to be Qingying Pill and approved. The name, Qingying Pill, is very second-year, but Xiao Yunhai doesn't like any Western capsules. The word Qingying describes the body as light and soft. Doesn't losing weight make the body light? After learning that the approval was granted, Lu Lin immediately asked the company's marketing department, "Contact Longhua immediately and find a fat-looking person to sign an endorsement cooperation." The same is true for the United States. Remember not to be afraid of spending money and find someone with a big name. In addition, the marketing department will establish our channel network within a week. Not to mention expanding to the world, but I want to see our weight loss drugs sold in pharmacies in major cities in China. Mr. Lu, how are the supply price and retail price determined? The head of the marketing department asked. I have communicated with His Highness about this issue. The domestic supply price of light pill is 399 Han Yuan/box, and the retail price cannot be higher than 450 Han Yuan/box. As for foreign countries, after the market is developed, the price will be determined according to the local market conditions. 399 Han Yuan, that is, 400 Han Yuan supply price, is not cheap. According to the exchange rate, it is about $114. If converted into Longhua currency, it is about 800 yuan per box. This is still the supply price, and the retail price is 450 Han Yuan. This price is expensive not only for Longhua, but also for Xinhan. Although the price is expensive, the product is really good. Powerful weight loss pills. And there are no side effects. Where can you find such medicine? 24 pills/box, based on an average of 3 times a day, 6 pills, that is, it can be taken for 4 days, and in these 4 days, at least 4 to 5 kgs of weight can be lost. Moreover, most ordinary weight loss pills cannot really reduce fat, but are simply absorbed by tissues. Unlike Jimin's light pill, it is comprehensive, not only reduces absorption, but also promotes human fat burning, and sells for hundreds of dollars per box. This price is really not expensive in his opinion. You should know that 1 injection of semaglutide costs thousands of yuan, or even tens of thousands of yuan, and the effect is not as good as his. Moreover, semaglutide has great side effects and is prone to rebound. Therefore, it is sold at 350 Han Yuan/box in Xinhan. This price is already in consideration of Xiao Yunhai's efforts to reduce the burden on the people. Otherwise, he planned to sell it for 1,000 Han Yuan per box. And if you want to see a significant effect from a box of slimming pills, you have to take at least 3 to 4 boxes. In other words, it will cost thousands of Han Yuan to see a significant effect. Okay, follow my instructions, and all departments should do it as soon as possible. Everyone, Whether our company can get a good start depends on this move, and His Highness is very concerned about this matter. Everyone said solemnly, yes. Soon, the entire Jimin group started to operate. The marketing department began to run the offline market. The marketing department began to look for spokespersons. In less than a day, the marketing department found some popular Hollywood and Longwa actresses on the internet. After printing out the photos of actresses who met the requirements from the internet, they handed them to Lu Lin. After Lu Lin got the candidate list, he carefully screened and considered, and finally decided on Fan Xiaoping as the spokesperson for Greater China and Britney Spears as the spokesperson for Europe and the United States. When Xiao Yunhai learned that the product spokespersons were two people, and after watching the recent life photos of the two people, he did not feel anything wrong. At this moment, Fan Xiaoping is not yet a celebrity, and is a well-deserved first-line top female star in Longwa. Britney Spears needs no introduction. She is known as Xiao Tian, the queen of the music world, and has a great influence in Europe and the United States. Although the black material has been exposed in recent years, and her reputation is not very good, although black and red are not red, as long as there is a topic and someone pays attention, it will be fine. Let's just go with these two people. Contact them as soon as possible to finalize the endorsement cooperation. Xiao Yunhai closed the file and handed it to Lin Na. The latter nodded, picked up the file, and left the office. A few minutes later. Okay, Secretary Lin, I got it. I'll arrange it right away. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Lu Lin called the secretary and said in a deep voice, Go. Tell the marketing department to send someone to contact Britney and Fan Xiaoping immediately to get the endorsement as soon as possible, and then shoot the advertising promotional video.
Yes.
The secretary quickly agreed. Longwa, Fan Xiaoping Studio. Since leaving Hawaii last year, Fan Xiaoping has established his own independent studio. Relying on the money she earned in the past few years and the connections she made in the circle, she has a good life, especially the relationship with the Hong Kong circle, which enables her to star in some big productions. That day, she was filming New Shaolin Temple somewhere in the Central Plains. She had just finished filming a scene and was taking a break when her assistant received a call. Sister Bingbing, Mr. Yang called and said he has something important to tell you. Oh. Hearing that it was Yang Tianjin looking for him, Fan Xiaoping took the phone. Hello? Bingbing, a pharmaceutical company, wants you to be its spokesperson. Yang Tianjin told Fan Xiaoping about the matter in a concise and succinct manner. I heard it was a pharmaceutical company. It was a weight loss drug. Fan Xiaoping subconsciously refused. Forget it. This kind of company must be a scam company. After the endorsement, people will buy it, and it will not work. It will only damage my image. I know, but they pay a lot. This company paid 8 million yuan and asked you to endorse and shoot a promotional video. Yang Tianjin knew it, but they paid a lot. 8 million? Fan Xiaoping was a little moved. You should know that her endorsement at this time is basically 2.5 million for 2 years, which is already the top endorsement price in the mainland. Like the National White Moonlight Lu Tianxian, the endorsement price at this time is also 3 million for 2 years. Most female stars in the mainland only get a few $100,000 for endorsements. The real price surge only occurred after 2014, when internet capital entered the entertainment industry. 8 million. It has tripled.
End.
Reading is fun every day during the National Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons.
End.